Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. We are live in living color with another unidentified episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. As you're just coming in, I want to say, as I always say, welcome. I welcome you. Come on in. Let's get this party started. We're going to go right in tonight. We're going to dive right in tonight. We're going to have an exciting podcast, an exciting broadcast this evening, open panel style. You know how we do it here on the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Welcome all of you. We're going to talk some Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. We're going to talk some Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. We're going to talk some business of boxing. We're going to talk the sports of boxing. We're going to talk about the results, the official. Let me put the official in there because I think that's important. The official results of the official weigh-in between Lomachenko and Devin Haney. What is going to happen tomorrow night in their fight? Who's going to win? How they're going to win as far as their strengths and weaknesses, and with the winner, where do the winner go next in their career from a business perspective? We're going to cover all of that tonight. But first, before I do all of that, you know I have to welcome each and every one of you that's joining me live. I want to welcome everyone that's participating in the chat. I want to welcome everyone that's watching this broadcast on the replay version, meaning that you are not here live, but you came right back around to check out the replay of this live. So I want to welcome you all. If you are a subscriber to the channel, I welcome you. If you are a member of the Roll the Tape film crew, I welcome you as well. And even if you are not a subscriber, even if you are not planning to engage in the chat, even if you are not a part of the Roll the Tape film crew, even if you know in your heart you are a hater and you are watching me, you be listening in, you be spying in on me, you be jotting down notes, taking things that you learn from this broadcast and my content, and you use it for whatever purposes you want to, including but not limited to criticism, critique, and even learning. Irregardless of the reason why, I want to tell you, I welcome you as well. If you are a detractor or a troll, I welcome you as well. Everybody is welcome. Now, we're going to dive right into this tonight. Great. I put emphasis on the word great. Great evening of boxing talk. I really love and enjoy doing these live broadcasts. If you've noticed thus far in the last month or so, I've been using the word podcast interchangeably for a reason. And so I love doing this. Things will be changing pretty soon with regards to the scheduling. We will talk about that at another time. But while we are here tonight, let's talk some business of boxing. Let's talk the sport of boxing. Let's dive right into this as the viewership is increasing exponentially. I welcome you all. And I'm going to say this because I think this is important as well. You don't have to dust your feet off when you come into my house. I don't know what everybody else do at their house. But when you enter into my live, you don't have to dust your feet off. You don't have to ring the doorbell. You know why? Because you're welcome. Door already unlocked. It don't take all that. But if you want to hit the like button when you come on in, I appreciate that. If you find value, whether it be through entertainment or education or a combination of both, which is what this channel provides, anywhere through the duration of this podcast, please hit the like button. Okay? Now that we got all that out the way, let's talk boxing. Before we do that, there's two things that I want to say. The first thing, of course, is our Town Watch check-in. We're going to get into that momentarily so that we can pick up where we left off every week when we do these podcasts with our Town Watch check-in. But I also want to start off before that in saying this. And I want to address this. I'm going to address it hopefully a little bit later on in the broadcast. I've been getting a lot of feedback since I've been on YouTube as a content creator, and that is the feedback of criticism because my content talks about Terrence Bud Crawford. This is 7 months here, y'all. This is not anything recent, but this is 7 months worth of people, whether it be through my comments section, whether it be on me being invited to join someone else's panel on someone else's channel, the comment section there, the chat here on this channel, the chat. People have called me on the phone personally over the last 7 months. People have texted me on the phone in the last few months. People have emailed me in the last few months since I've been a content creator. People have, when I share it on like Facebook Messenger and stuff like that, people have commented. And all of them that I'm talking about make references to me speaking on Terrence Bud Crawford. How my content is mostly targeted towards Terrence Bud Crawford. Even in the comment section of the shorts that I've been producing in the last several months, people have been saying very distasteful things towards me with regards to Terrence Bud Crawford and some of the things that I've said about Crawford, and just the fact that majority of the content that I have is about Terrence Bud Crawford. So I wanted to speak on that a little bit later on. I want to say this though, I'm not offended by none of it. If you know me personally, you know that I'm being very honest. I'm not offended by it. It's just an observation. How it's amazing to me how um, people overlook the content. People overlook the context, but they focus in on the fact that when they see Terrence Bud Crawford's name in my title, they automatically assume that it's something hateful towards Terrence Bud Crawford. And we're going to address a little bit of that this evening. Just want to let everybody know the link is in the chat. Let me reframe that. The link is pinned to the chat. Wanted to say that after I said Terrence Crawford's name on purpose. Let's do our Town Watch check-in so we can get this thing started. Oh, and let me say this real quick. We're going to talk about the official results. I said it earlier, but I know the new audience is just coming on in. I wanted to say this real quick before we do our Town Watch check-in. We're going to talk about the official results when it comes to Devin Haney and when it comes to Vasyl Lomachenko. And when I say official results, I'm referring to the official weigh-in between those two fighters, okay? Just wanted to say that. Now, let's do our Town Watch check-in. If you don't know what our Town Watch check-in consists of, I'm going to tell you right now so that you all can feel free to participate. Now, how the Town Watch check-in works is very simple. in the chat if you feel led to. It's not a mandatory thing. It's just a way of participating in the chat. If you feel led to in the chat, all you have to do is just type in where you are from or where you are located. What I mean by that is I'm talking about your geographical location. The reason why we do that, if you're new to the channel or if you missed it the last time or you missed it the time before that, the reason why we do that on this channel, our Town Watch check-in, is because when you say where you're from or where you are, and everybody in the chat can see that, I can see it on my end, viewers that are watching the replay of this live will see it on their end as well. It shows that no matter where we are from, born and raised, and or no matter where we are now, geographically speaking, we all, though we live and or reside or are born and raised from different parts of the entire world, we all share one thing in common. And that is the love of the sport of boxing. All right? I'll start it off. Then you do it, follow up in the chat. We're going to do it for a few seconds. And guess what I'm going to do when you do it? I'm going to acknowledge, no matter what city, state, island, and or country you represent, I am going to publicly acknowledge it immediately when I see it in the chat. So let's get it started so we can talk business and the sport of boxing. Y'all know I represent the state of Texas by way of Arlington, Mansfield section. Salute. I also represent the entire DFW by way of my hometown, which I definitely got to represent. And that is the great city and state of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, it's my turn to acknowledge where you are from. I see Dayton, Ohio in the building. Who else we got here? Come on and check on in. Baltimore, Maryland, home of the face of boxing. I see you in the chat. Come on in. Newark, New Jersey is here. Come on. Come on in. Come on now. Who else we got in here? Who else? Mobile is in the building. Who else we got in here? SXM Caribbean. ST Martin is in the building. Got the islands in here. Man, listen, city, state, island, and or country. Come on in. Fort Worth is here in the building. Live in the colony right now. I see you. My guy, Mike, I see you from Maryville, Indiana in the building. Who else we got in here? Who else? Come on in. We got somebody else from Dayton, Ohio in the building. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. This is what we do when we come on this. Come on in. Come on in. Mobile, Alabama is in the building. I see you. Come on in. Come on in. Glen Burnie, Maryland. Woo! Come on in and have a seat. Welcome, welcome. What it do? All the way from Tampa, Florida in the building. Man, come on in. Come on in. Who else we got here? We got we said Florida's in the house, so we got South is in here. We said Ohio is in the building. That's East. I need somebody from the Midwest. Come on in. Come on in. Where you at? Where you at? Kansas City. I knew somebody from Missouri. I knew somebody from the Midwest was going to represent. Come on in. Yes, indeed. Oh, come on, man. I see him in the chat. My God, every time I see his name in the chat or even just in the green room trying to get on, I'm going to stop my whole show. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You know why I'm going to stop my whole show. Gary, Indiana is in the building. It's because this man right here is the reason why, well, one of the reasons why. Don't let me say the only reason. You know what I'm talking about? Trying to get some of that money just like the rest of them. But he's one of the reasons why I'm on YouTuber, but I'm on YouTube as a content creator. And that's the guy who basically practically made me famous. And that's my main man representing Logan. The man, the only man that can bring the Donaires, Rachel and Nonito into Philadelphia and keep them in North Philadelphia and make sure nothing happened to them. You hear what I'm telling you? Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? My main man, like family. YSM Sports Media. My God. What's up, YSM? Salute, my brother. Kansas City in the building. Who else we got in here? Come on in. We got a few more minutes now. Just a few more minutes before we get down to the business and the sport of boxing. I know I sound hyped tonight. It's just because I'm getting back in the groove of things. If you missed the live on Tuesday night, go back and check it out. It was a fire live on Tuesday evening right here on this channel. I was just getting back in. I was off for a week and a half, trying to get my bearings together, making a few adjustments. I'm back now, so I'm still in hype mode. You know what I mean? Where we at? Who else is here? Come on, we got a few more moments before we get this town watch check-in over, but I want to make sure I know it's somebody else hiding in the background. They don't want to engage, but I'm asking you, come on in the chat. I'm going to acknowledge where you are from. Woo, the Windy City is here. Y'all ain't feel that breeze? Y'all didn't feel that breeze? Oh, Windy City is here. I'm talking about Chicago in the building. Who else? The Queen City is here. Charlotte, North Carolina in the building. Who else we got here? Come on in. Just a few more moments. Come on in. The viewership is slowly increasing exponentially. Slowly. Yes, indeed. Come on in. Yes, indeed. Come on in. Who else we got? Before we start this thing, we're gonna start this thing real quick. Listen to the guy Edward in the chat. I encourage you, listen to him. He's saying in the chat, hit the likes when you come in, if you can. It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory, but I sure appreciate it. Because what happens when you click the like button? Let me tell you what happens. YouTube controls the algorithm, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Road to Take film crew. Let me tell y'all what happened. When you hit the like button, the education, value, and entertainment value that you experience on this channel will reverberate all across the YouTube world. So hit the like button if you can when you come on in. Come on now, we got one more. I see you in the background, brother. You know I'm going to bring you on. I'm talking to one of my guests, family. You know what I mean? Come on in real quick. Let's get this thing started. Let's get this thing popping. One more. Somebody, I know it's one more. Give me one more. Where you from? Type it in the chat. Just one more. I only need one. Hey, Big Ray, I just wanted to make sure they was listening. I said that the viewership, the numbers are slowly increasing exponentially. Y'all didn't hear me? I just wanted to see if y'all was going to catch that. Come on in. One more. Oh, I got it. Dallas, Texas in the building. The Queen City's in the building. So I got my one. Let's move right on. Before I move on, I can't bring a guest on here without showing my face first. Because it just makes absolutely no sense for me to bring a guest on and all you see is the guest and you don't see the host. That's not a good experience, right? We love human interaction. How many times have you called the bank and got an automated machine, right? A system that's repeating everything that you say. You called the cell phone company. I'm not talking about some of these haters, some of my detractors. I'm not talking about them because they got Boost mobile phones. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the rest of y'all, the family. You know what I mean? When you call, you want to talk to somebody that's human, right? Well, that's what we provide here on this channel. And I can't do it without my man and pants coming on. And that's my family, my brother, D-Town Boxing. What's up, D-Town?
What's going on, my brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing all right, brother. Can you hear me, man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you. You're
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you a little. Can you see if you can turn your mic up a little bit?
Let me see.
Just to make sure that the viewers hear you clearly, loud and clearly.
Well, let me go into the settings and see what's going on.
Yes, indeed. While Detailed Boxing is doing that, let me provide an update because the official weigh-in, they just showed it live on ESPN. The official weigh-in between Haney and Loma. Haney pushed Lomachenko at the weigh-in. He pushed him at the weigh-in, right when they were doing the face-off. I mean, aggressively pushed him too. Aggressively. Just wanted to give an update on that if you all haven't seen it. Yeah, Devin definitely pushed Loma. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because of course most people probably already, heard about the weigh-in and heard about what both fighters weighed in at um earlier, supposedly earlier today, and of course they stepped on the scales officially, and Devin Haney weighed in at 134.9 pounds, and Lomachenko weighed in at the actual division limit of 135 pounds. So we definitely have a fight brewing tomorrow evening, live on, I believe, ESPN Plus. Excuse me. So let me see if we can do a mic check real quick. Detail, you with me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, perfectly loud and clear, brother. Perfectly loud and clear. I can hear you very, very well. Very, very well. Salute to everybody in the chat that is acknowledging me. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge you back as the numbers are they're not slowly increasing. They are exponentially increasing. And I'm excited about it. Hold on, let me turn this right off because I'm trying to figure out how this even still on here. There we go. Salute to everybody in the chat that's acknowledging me. Salute to all of you watching at home. Come on in, come on in. To all the new audience that's just coming in right now, we're going to be talking about a few things tonight. Um, Well, first and foremost, we are definitely going to be talking about the fight that's coming on tomorrow night live and in living color on ESPN Plus between Devin the Dream Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. We're going to be talking about that fight tonight. We're going to get this is open panel, by the way. The link is in the is pinned in the chat. So this is open panel. We're going to talk about who's going to win in your opinion. As you all opine on that on the panel, we're going to also discuss not only who's going to win, but what do each fighter have to do in order to win, and also what happens to the winner of this fight from a business perspective. Um, we're going to get that popping. We are also going to talk about the fact that there are some new developments according to several sources, particularly from the Ring magazine, who published this a few days ago, that Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford's mega fight looks like it's either going to be happening on July the 29th of this year and or August the 5th in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to address some people who have been criticizing me over the past 7 months since I've been on YouTube, who basically give their critique on my perspective of Terrence Ball Crawford and the fact that majority of my content has been on Terrence Crawford, or at least some of the things that Crawford has said with his words and have completed and done with his actions. People have been criticizing me since I've been on YouTube. Not a lot of people, but just some people in my comment section when I publish shorts in the comment sections there, in the chat on this channel, even have come on the panel themselves and made references about it. Also called me on the phone, text me when I send some of the published content out as a share on like Facebook Messenger to certain people. They've criticized me in the inbox. So, this has been going on for months. I want to address a little bit of that as well when we get on that topic. Everybody that knows me knows this. I'm going to say this for those of you that do not. Doesn't bother me at all. The criticism does not bother me, not one bit. I think everyone should be entitled to their opinion. So it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I just want to address it because I need answers. And when I need answers, I roll the tape, right? So we might not do a whole lot of rolling the tape tonight. It all depends, though. This is open panel. I know that Terrence Buck Crawford fans, and I'm using that word very sensitively, are watching. They watch this channel. I don't even know if Crawford himself watched the channel. Needless to say, it don't matter. Bottom line is, as I always say, the link is in the chat. So it is what it's going to be. Salute to my guy, Philly Fight Doctor. What's going on, big guy? D-Town, let's start with the fight that's going to be coming on tomorrow night. And that is Lomachenko, Devin Haney. You and I, we kicked it for a while, like for almost a week, man. We was getting it in, brother. We was grinding it out. Spent a lot of good time together as men, as family, as brothers, as content creators. And we talked about this topic. I published it a little bit earlier in the week. Things change. The weigh-in happened today. Devin Haney he came in 134.9 pounds, the official weigh-in. Lomachenko weighed in at 135 pounds. We have a fight. And people have their opinions on who's going to win. First of all, before I ask you that, what's your take on this fight? First and foremost, Detail.
I think this fight is a fight that need to happen for the fans. We getting tired and restless, about a lot of fights is not happening. A lot of he say, she say, and things like that. So, we already had Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis. The young guys are stepping up, putting aside their differences, understand that one is the A side, one is the B side, understands, sign a contract, you make it happen, get in the ring, make some money, make history, no matter if you win or lose. And now you have Devin Haney and Lomachenko. So I'm happy to see that this fight is made, knowing both of them is up on the top rank, Bob Arum, knowing it's the last fight for Devin Haney up under, Bob Arum, and Lomachenko is still signed with Top Rank. So I'm happy for this fight. We deserve it as a fan to see these fights come and pass, now and then later.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And, from a business perspective, like you said, D, I think this is the fight that the fans need to see. I mean, you got Ryan Garcia for Tank Davis, David Benavidez for Caleb Plant. I mean, the best need to fight the best. Salute to Diana. She's also sending you a message of blessings to you and your family as well. D-Town, if you can see it on the screen. Salute to you, Diana. She is a member of this channel. So every time I see any member of this channel, one of the perks is the special shout out and me commenting on the comment section in the replay of the lives and the replay of any published content or the distribution of any published content. That's one of the perks. So I want to salute Diana. Thank you for your support. Peace and blessings to you, Diana. When we talk about the best fighting the best, this is what we want to see. From a business standpoint, like you talked about, D, both of these guys have some form of contractual agreement and or obligation to top ranked promotions and vice versa. And so this is when fights are made easier when both fighters are connected to the same promotional company. And here we see proof of that right now. This is going to be a good fight while it lasts. I've gotten text messages all week from some people that are really close to me and cool with me as friends, and some of them have said that they believe that um, Devin Haney is going to knock out Lomachenko tomorrow night. I won't go as far as that. Me personally, I believe that Haney is going to dominate Loma. Loma is the older guy. His legs are not as quick as it used to be. I am not undermining the abilities and capabilities of Lomachenko by saying this. What I'm saying is I believe that Devin Haney's strengths will overpower and outmatch the weaknesses of Loma. And I also believe that Loma's going to win a few rounds, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the onslaught that Devin Haney's going to produce based on his long jab, his reach, his height, and naturally he's the bigger guy, and he's younger too. He has more youth. That's my take on the detail. What say you?
I believe that Devin Haney will win. I'm not counting out Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko has more experience, as far as his amateur background. Um, I believe Devin Haney, throw more volume of punches than Lomachenko. He has the height, he has the reach, he has the youth, he has the legs moving around. He has all those things. So I'm not going to say that Devin Haney is going to knock out Lomachenko. If I had to put my money on somebody as far as getting knocked out, I would say I would give Lomachenko a better chance of knocking out Devin Haney. I'm not saying that Devin Haney can't knock out Lomachenko. I'm just saying if somebody put a gun in my head and tell me, hey, put some with something, let's go get something, then I'm gonna have to say, hey, I'm gonna put a little bit some on, but if he goes the distance, I will put my money on Devin Haney. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying they can't go the other way. I'm just saying if they put the pistol to the brain, I'm gonna have to sit there and say something, and that's what that's what I stand on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that's what you're standing on. The chat is firing up on all cylinders right now because they're giving their opinions as well. And I do believe that Loma is a good fighter. I mean, his amateur pedigree speaks for itself. The accomplishments that he's made as a world champion. Not forget he's still a world champion. No, he doesn't have the belt. We know that Devin Haney is undisputed in the 135-pound division. But I'm just saying he's still considered a world champion. And I also believe that Top Rank did a wonderful job promoting him. Just like they did a wonderful job with promoting Terrence Bud Crawford. We'll get a little to that a little bit later, D. But this is going to be a fight that I think that the winner should advance and move on to bigger and better fights. And I believe that Devin Haney is going to win. And I believe that because of all the hoopla that's been going on YouTube for many years between Devin Haney's team, including his father Bill and Tank Davis, and the media and everything that's surrounding the ambiance of these two young men fighting, I do believe that those two men, Tank Davis and Devin Haney, should fight next, barring that Devin Haney wins. That's what I think. Um, of course, we got some fans that'll say belts don't matter. Then you got another school of thought with a group of other fans that'll say belts do matter. The bottom line is that Devin Haney, if he wins against Lomachenko, I believe his next fight should be against Tank Davis. That's just my personal opinion. I know people are going to say, Manager Marty, Shakur Stevenson called out Devin Haney, so he should get the fight next. Shakur Stevenson just got to the 135-pound division, so let him simmer in on that. But from a business perspective, I believe both Tank Davis and Devin Haney should fight next. That's my take. I'll go a little bit deeper on that from a business perspective. But before I do, D-Town, what's your take on that? If
Yeah.
whoever wins, if Haney wins or if Lomachenko wins, where do they go next from here?
Well, I mean, my opinion, I believe that he should go after Tank Davis. That's my opinion. I don't know which way it might go far as Bob Arum or, we seen the videos of Bill Haney and, talking to Shakur Stevenson, talking about somebody 140, if it get too hot, we gonna get up out of here, or whatever the situation might be. But I believe that the best should fight the best, like BFTV always saying stuff, and that's the route I think they should go. They can make money. They can go ahead and give the fans another fight. You know what I'm saying? A fight that we want to see, and I think that's the legitimate move for the winner is to go and fight Tank. Like you said, that Shakur Stevenson just moved up. We have to give the fans what they want to see. And I think if you have a poll, you know what I'm saying, for the fans to pick what fight they want to see, maybe majority of them will say Devin Haney versus Tank Davis, or Lomachenko versus Tank Davis. I think that fight would be more credible and more needful than, jumping in Shakur Stevenson right now at this time.
Yeah, I see. And when I said I'm gonna go a little bit deeper from a business perspective, with regards to Tank against Devin Haney, I said this on Tuesday night's broadcast, and I also said it on previous live on this channel a while ago, and I'm going to say it again from a business perspective. Now, hear me out. Devin Haney, Terrence Crawford, Tank Davis, Adrian Broner, they all have at least one thing in common. Devin Haney, Terrence Crawford, Tank Davis, and Adrian Broner. And that is that if you look at their resumes from a business perspective, they do not have a history of fighting Black and or African American fighters. And that is for a reason. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Devin Haney, Terrence Crawford, Tank Davis, and Adrian Broner all have that one thing in common. You've probably never heard it nowhere else before I said it, but you're hearing it live and in living color for my new audience that's just joining in as the, oh my gosh, detail. I love when the viewership is just increasing and going up. Those four fighters have something in common, at least one thing, and that is they do not have an extensive history of fighting Black and or African American fighters, and there is a reason for that. Why is that relevant to my point that I'm referencing? It's because Tank Davis done made enough money where he has fought a lot of other countrymen, a lot of competitors and fighters from other countries. Devin Haney, same thing. Why not? They have an extensive history. So now is the time for both of these men to now direct their talents towards each other. Is where I'm getting at. I'm not using this from a racial standpoint. I am not a Black power type person. So I'm not saying, oh, keep the money with the Black guys. I am not talking about none of that. I'm not talking about that. I want everybody to understand my point. I'm talking about business. It is very difficult for two Black and or African American fighters who don't have large fan bases to fight each other and maximize their earning potential. So that's where I was, getting at for both of these guys to fight each other. Detail, you see the logo on the side of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't get an opportunity to give him his proper introduction on Tuesday night. But I got him here now. My guy, YSM Sports Media. What's up, Mill? What's going on with you, my brother?
What's up, Marty? What's up, D-Town? I hate the Cowboys, by the way, D-Town. Throwing it out there.
YSM. I'm a Cowboys fan too, YSM, so I know that was for me too.
Yeah, it was me. Yo, what's good? What's the topic? I hopped on and hopped off. I think y'all might have switched up.
Oh, no, it's all good, brother. Well, we talking about Devin, Haney, and Lomachenko. Basically, who we think is going to win the fight. We didn't get to the how yet. We're going to get to the how in just a few minutes of how we think who we chose is going to win the fight. I see everybody in the chat firing on all cylinders with their opinions as well. And then we talked about whoever wins the fight, what happens next for them? Where should they go from here from a business perspective? What say you, YSM? The floor is yours, brother.
All right, first, let me say salute to Diana. How's it going? Okay, so Tank's gonna be on house arrest. So when he gets off, it's likely that Tank probably gets like an Isaac Cruz, a fight that's going to make him a couple of dollars, and that he's going to win easily. I got Tank stopping Isaac Cruz right now, but right now Tank is the biggest American draw that we have. So right now he can fight anybody. So I don't think a fight with Devin makes sense coming off a house arrest, and then coming off of back-to-back. You know, we're fighting Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Fighters of that caliber never give you two huge back-to-back fights. They're going to give you probably, I ain't going to say it's a tune-up, but it's going to be a glorified tune-up with Isaac Cruz. Devin Haney, maybe we see Devin Haney cross over to the Al Heyman side of things. Maybe gets like a Frank Martin, a Michelle Rivera. Maybe he plays around at 40 with like a Sergey Lipinets. I don't know. But I don't see a fight with Tank going into a fight with Tank Davis coming off of a Lomachenko and a Ryan Garcia being the thing that their management would do.
Oh yeah, totally agree. I was actually going to bring that up in my next point with regards to Devin Haney fighting Tank, and that's why I set it up by saying I think he should fight him next, because my point was going to be from a business standpoint, from a managerial standpoint. I don't think, and I know we heard we heard Devin Haney say in that Blood, Sweat, and Tears segment, he said it briefly. He didn't use the words top rank, but he was also asked by Brian Custer. Brian Custer asked him, what is he going to do next now that he's not under any kind of contractual agreement with Top Rank? And Haney used the words home when he referenced Top Rank, and I was like scratching my head a little bit, because we already know that he signed a 3-fight deal, and after this fight with Lomachenko, his obligation is over, and so is Top Rank's obligation to him is over. I don't think he should re-sign with Top Rank. I know that the fans want to see him fight Shakur right now. I don't think that's a fight that he should take like this moment. And I know, of course, we know that Shakur is with Top Rank, so to make it a little bit easier for those two guys to fight. But at the same time, if he wants to fight with Tank Davis, where I was leading down that path, he should go over there with the great Al Heyman and PBC. He's already fought on Showtime in the past, so it's not like the Showtime audience has never seen Devin Haney perform on that platform before. But I definitely think that this is the opportunity that he can, take advantage of, going over there with the great Al Heyman and signing some documents over there and fighting, because they got the work over there. They got the work. They definitely got the work. Now, just like Terrence Crawford knows this, and just like Adrian Broner said himself, when you go over there, and D-Town is going to lift his head up after I say this part, when you go on over there to fight over at PBC, you're going to get paid now. But you're going to have to fight Godzilla. So all the Godzillas in the 135-pound division, or the up-and-coming Godzillas, they're over there being represented by PBC. So even if he don't fight Tank Davis next, he can fight, like you said, YSM. He can fight, any of those guys. Devin Haney could. They all over there with PBC and Al Heyman. I think that's a great business move for Devin Haney.
Byron, Mr. Moet, what's good?
Salute to everybody in the chat that's acknowledging me. Salute to everybody in the chat that's acknowledging my guy, YSM. Salute to everybody in the chat that's acknowledging D-Town. And, of course, D-Town and YSM. If y'all see it in the chat, y'all also can acknowledge them, too. I was just saying that just so that they can know I see what they're saying in the chat. And we feel the love up here. Appreciate y'all. What's your take on the D-Town as far as, like, promotion-wise? What should Devin Haney do? Should he go over there with Al Heyman? Should he just stay with Top Rank? Should he just be a free agent? Golden Boy is still over there. He was already with Matchroom over there with Eddie Hearn and them. I don't see him going back over there with them. What's your take on that, D?
I mean, if they want to be up on the promoter, you know, they can go either way. If they want to be their own boss, they could deal with Al Heyman. Let Al Heyman be their advisor, teach them the game. I mean, it's whatever way they want to go. I mean, you might have a promoter, or they might be looking for guaranteed money. I mean, I don't know. So it's however they look at it. They might want guaranteed, or they might want to be their own boss. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's whatever they want to do. I mean, I can't even call it, tell you the truth. You know, me personally, I think they should be their own boss and do their own thing. But, you know, sometimes people don't want to go down that route right now. You know, they just want to go and test the waters, make them some quick cash, and, you know, maybe. And I think with the PBC fighters, a lot of them are willing to go out and sell themselves. You know, maybe Devin Haney probably not at that level yet. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking, just throwing it up there. You know, we know Earl Spence and Charlo and Deontay Wilder and, you know, and Tank Davis and all those guys, they don't mind going out and doing the leg work. Maybe Devin Haney don't want to do the leg work right now. Maybe he do. So it's whatever route they want to go. And it's, you know, it's up to them.
D-Town, you brought up a point, right? A good point. The funny thing is, Devin Haney was his own promoter at 17. He's the youngest promoter that I've ever seen, I've ever come across. And they were doing the leg work in Mexico and building his brand. So I don't think he's a stranger to that philosophy. It's really going to come down to who's offering the most. Like, if Al can guarantee him a Tank fight, where, okay, you know, I'm gonna build you. Nobody builds a black fighter like Al Heyman. I don't care who you are. Like, nobody. Let me paraphrase. Nobody gets a black fighter, black American-born fighter, to superstardom like Al Heyman. Bob Arum can build a fighter probably better than anybody in boxing. But to get you into that, what do you call? What's the word, Marty? Ubiquitous, to where it's that you that crossover star.
Yeah.
Al Heyman has the most success. So maybe a Frank Martin. Who else is at 35 that you can give Devin, around 35 or 40, that you can give Devin before you build a fight with Tank? Because we have to see exactly how good Devin Haney can sell. I think that push was more about selling because Vasyl Lomachenko hasn't promoted this fight at all. He's done a horrible job. Like, before the pre-fight, like the pre-fight week, did you hear Lomachenko say anything? Anybody?
No.
So we got to see, can Devin Haney carry a pay-per-view? And if he can't, then Al has to do some of that legwork, where Al has to put him in certain positions to where as though the black fan gravitates towards him, galvanizes around him, and, you know, he can become a star to where as though him and Tank can do 1 million pay-per-views.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to point out something from a business standpoint. I would be remiss if I didn't, because I know when I spent time with D-Town, I had made this reference to him. Devin Haney, he is the youngest, probably the youngest, like, promoter when we talk promotion. At the same time, though, we all know this to be true. Devin Haney and his promotional company, I don't know how many fighters that's under the DHP banner that's equally as important of having.
I know like
promotion.
2 or 3.
Huh?
I know like 2 or 3 guys that I've heard of.
Okay, that's good. So that's going to be very beneficial for him when we talk about leverage. Also, one of the main reasons why Devin Haney has been on the zone is because he signed a deal with another promotional company in Matchroom. The reason why Devin Haney has been fighting on ESPN for the last couple of fights because he signed a deal as a fighter with Bob Arum, Top Rank. My point is, though, that he's going to need to partner up with a promoter or either with a network directly without a promoter or middleman. We know that to be true. So my thing is, if that's the case, if you've already been on Matchroom with the Zone, so you have a built-in audience over there, you obviously have a built-in audience with ESPN. He also fought on Showtime earlier on. It will definitely be a great move for him if he doesn't want to be a free agent to go right on over there and build up his fan base, like you talked about YSM, having that crossover appeal with doing a deal with Showtime, whether he's with Iowa as a free agent, if Showtime, do business with him without like a PBC banner. The bottom line is he can basically pour in all those audiences from the Zone that was galvanized, around seeing him. Then he can use the ESPN audience and bring them together. And let's say he's building himself up on, let's say, a Showtime platform, and all the audience from all three of those platforms will be the point of sale for Devin Haney when it's time for him to build up his resume, build up his stock, so that he can be a pay-per-view draw when he does fight Tank Davis, if that's the case.
But I wanted to say one thing. I think when I was talking about the Devin Haney deciding to take which route that he wanted to take, like you said, YSM Sport Media, that he's his own. He was the youngest, I guess, having his own promotional company. But I was saying, like, do you think he's at the point of taking the risk, or to how can I say it, willing to bet on himself at this time, far as the fans or people that would buy his pay-per-views no matter which fight that he fight. So that's why I was saying it's up to him if he wants to go out and be what Al Haney and the PBC, because most of those guys are willing to bet on themselves. Not saying every last one of them, but we can name a couple of them. And then when I was saying that he might not be willing to do his own thing or bet on himself, as far as being with a promoter who would give him guaranteed money. That's why I left it up in the air, because I'm not sure, which way he want to go.
As far as Dev goes, I'm in my mind. If you're willing to bet on yourself at 17, you're willing to bet on yourself at 24. You know what I mean? That mindset is. It seems like it's been instilled in him by Bill Haney, and the biggest fight out there is Gervonta Davis. Now, I don't know what kind of deals are being offered, because that's honestly, the most important part. What is Al offering you? Like, if Al can guarantee the Tank fight, then it makes sense. Like, if Al has the best fights for the most potential pay, then you go that route. Now, maybe Bob's offering more right now. Remember, Devin's a young man. Tank's young. Tank's not as young as Devin and Shakur, but he's still young. To whereas though, let's say Bob's offering a good 2 fights here. Okay, I'll bang out my 2 fights there, then I'll go see Al. But if Al has something better to offer, nobody builds a black superstar like Al. How many times is he going to do it? How many times is he's going to show you that he's consistent as far as with that demographic goes? Wilder's a star, Tank's a star, Floyd's a star. That's what he do.
Sorry about that. Good point, YSM. From a business standpoint, I can assure everybody that if Devin Haney stays with Top Rank and he doesn't go over there, let's just use PBC or Al Heyman as a reference. Devin Haney will not make more money fighting on ESPN than he would fighting over there at PBC. Just their budget alone speaks to that. ESPN budget is not as huge as a Showtime's budget. That's a fact. But with that being said, though, he's building an audience, and I always talk about this because I think this is as equally as important when we talk about audiences. There's a difference with a regular TV audience. That means that an audience who don't mind being a casual boxing fan, just clicking on the TV, or the live stream or whatever platform or Fire Stick or whatever, free of charge, and just watching the fight legally. When I say Fire Stick, I'm talking about, or live streaming, I mean legally. Compared to a pay-per-view audience, those are two different types of demographics, two different types of audiences. And so because Devin Haney, this will be his third fight, to my understanding, fighting on a pay-per-view platform, under the ESPN banner, I think that's really good that he's building, his stock with regards to a pay-per-view audience. Let me use Terrence Crawford as an example. Terrence Crawford does great numbers. When he was with Top Rank over there at ESPN, he can draw 1 million viewers, of course, along with his dance partner, his opponent, on regular live ESPN, just the regular platform of ESPN. The numbers don't lie. But when you try to put Terrence Crawford in the ring with any opponent and you're talking about making an appeal to galvanize the pay-per-view audience, we all know this. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. He does not sell. And that's because of the two different type of demographics. And so if Devin Haney can build up his resume while he's building those numbers up from a pay-per-view audience standpoint, and he goes over there with PBC, he's going to definitely make way more money than he would if he stayed with Top Rank. That's just their budget alone. And look at the price point. Let me give that another example for all of the viewers that are new to the live stream right now. If you look at Tank Davis fighting Hector Garcia, look at Tank Davis fighting Ryan Garcia. Classic example. Let's use Ryan Garcia and Tank. Their cheapest ticket, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, their cheapest ticket. And I'm talking about in Vegas, all the way up. And when I say all the way up, I mean like when Fat Joe came out with that song, I'm all the way up. Yeah, up there. In the stands, all the way up, right? When you look down, you see little ants. But guess what? They paid probably a minimum of between $1,200 to $1,500. That was their lowest price point. But look how all the way up they were sitting. You look at a Devin Haney fighting Lomachenko in Las Vegas against a reputable opponent who has his own country behind him as well, and you see their price point with regards to live gate is much more cheaper. And also the price point of pay-per-view compared to, I think it was $85 or something, or $80, $80 to $85 with Tank versus Ryan. And then you're getting Loma against Devin, $55 to $59.99 or something like that. The price point alone talks about the differences, the disparities between the budgeting, the disparities between the dance partners, the disparities between how much these fighters were getting paid. And so that's how I know, well, one of the many reasons I know that Devin Haney will make way more money going over to a larger platform with a larger budget with the guy, like you said, YSM, who does a tremendous job with allowing a certain demographic of fighters to have that crossover appeal to market them properly.
Hey, detail. Isn't this the time though? Isn't this normally the time? Right? Who was it first? Floyd? Miguel Cotto? Oscar De La Hoya? Isn't this normally the time where the guy established himself as a credible fighter, as a world champion, and then when it's time to make that jump to superstardom, there's no disrespect to Bob Arum, but they leave.
Yep.
Like we've seen this story, we've seen this movie how many times?
4 times. Don't forget Manny Pacquiao. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. This is Fast and the Furious, right? Detail. This Fast and the Furious 10. We just seen it 10 times. Yeah. So
Bob getting them ready.
So
he getting them all ready for Al Heyman.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mikey Garcia. My bad. I forgot about Mikey.
Mikey Garcia.
Mikey Garcia.
That's what Bob Arum does. He gets you ready. I got to reframe that. That's what Bob Arum and the great Hall of Fame matchmaker, I keep saying his name, making him famous here, Brad Goodman. That's what they do. Get these fighters, especially when they're young. Bob Arum loved getting fighters when they're very young and building them up, producing them, getting that time in with them. That's why he signs long-term contracts with those guys, because he's investing, the company's investing for long-term to build these fighters up. And it's no different than what he did with Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. This is what they do. This is what they do over Top Rank. My point is they build the fighters up. And once they get to a certain level, when they reach a certain plateau, they move on after capitalizing off of all of those experiences, off of all of the exposures, and they make it happen somewhere else to make the big fights. And isn't that amazing, YSM? Isn't that the same formula that they use? They meaning Top Rank, with, like you said, De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather, Mikey Garcia, and somebody else. It's another guy who they did that with. You guessed it, Terrence Bud Crawford. It ain't no different. Build you up, build you up, build you up until you reach the plateau of going somewhere else to make an appeal, to be a crossover superstar, to fight the biggest fight in your career. And I'm talking about with Errol Spence. Everybody else did it. Everybody else that we just named, they did it after they left Top Rank. What's the difference with Bud Crawford?
Floyd left, and didn't he do like a fight with Goosen? I think he did Carlos Baldomir. Was that with Goosen? He did a fight or two with Goosen, and then he fought Oscar.
He fought. I remember him fighting. Excuse me. I remember him fighting Baldomir, but remember Zab Judah, Don King Productions. Zab Judah fought Baldomir, and then when Baldomir beat Zab, that's when Floyd jumped on him.
Yeah. I know Floyd did at least one fight with Goosen. I can't remember which one it was. I'm not sure if it was like Sean B. Mitchell or somebody like that, but I know he did a fight. But yeah, this is a normal progression of things. It seems like once you get to that point where you want superstar money, Bob would be like, "Oh yeah, that's not going to happen." And then now he's focusing on, and then now you see Bob or Brad at the Olympics looking to sign, another blue chipper to replace you.
Yeah.
So
yep.
So who's Abdullah Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abdullah Mason, you got Little Vargas. Who else? You got Shushu, Tiger Johnson. Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of people that when Devin Haney gets put out the pasture, and now he's garnered enough cachet to ask for his $5 million guaranteed, $10 million guaranteed with the points. Bob's going like, yeah, what's up with Nico Ali Walsh, man? Let's make him a main eventer.
Yeah, that's how the business worked. It was Sean Bay Mitchell, YSM, with Dan Goosen, the late great Dan Goosen from Goosen Tudor Promotions. A lot of people don't know who he is. He did a good job with James Toney career as well. He revitalized his career. Andre Ward, that's Joe Goosen's brother. For some of you all that do not know who Dan Goosen was, great promoter. Joe Goosen, of course, the trainer who was fired by Ryan Garcia recently. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Ryan Garcia hiring another future Hall of Fame trainer over there in Dallas, Texas, Errol Spence's trainer. Yeah, we want to talk about that. Let me get this Cash App out the way real quick. Not Cash App, the Super Chat. And the Cash App is flowing across the screen. We've been here for 1 hour, and I just put this across the screen. So feel free. I want to thank everybody in advance for making a contribution to this channel tonight. Any way you feel led to, I really, really appreciate your support. And speaking of support, let's start with John Bowie. Thank you for your support, John, and your contribution to the channel. John says, I just saw this on my feed. Is the fight signed? I believe John is referring to the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, which we know has been advertised this week by numerous sources, including the Ring magazine, that said this fight now may happen on July the 29th. And if that does not happen on July 29th as a backup date, it will happen on August the 5th, which is the following Saturday
Yo,
in Las Vegas. YSM, I mean, how long we going to have to keep going through all of this and hearing this? I know you have inside sources. I'm not asking you for a concrete, opine. I'm not asking you to produce any of your sources, but just give me your personal take on when you see that the Ring magazine is basically saying that they have other sources as well, and this fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford is definitely going to happen now on July 29th.
yo, you realize that Ring Magazine come out with an article every 1 to 2 weeks saying that the fight's going to be on, on this date. Then the fight's going. Remember, because it was June. What was it? It was June 16th or
June 17th, I think, or
June. Yeah,
June
June
16th. June
16th or
16th.
17th. Yeah, June
Some
16th.
one of them dates, yeah.
Then it was July. Then it was July 22nd. Now it's July 29th. I heard it's almost done, but I'm not. No, I heard 3 possible dates. It is Ring Magazine and it kind of in line with the dates that I've heard. Yes, I'm not willing to stake claim to it because we're dealing with Terrence Crawford, and when we're dealing with Terrence Crawford, you liable to make yourself look foolish. Like if we just being honest, you never know what Terrence Crawford's going to do. You never know what's on his mind. But that's his business, is not mine. But yeah, I just hope this hurry up and gets done because they've literally cooled off the welterweight division. The division was hot, Marty.
Yeah.
The division was what we were talking about. D-Town, am I right?
Facts.
Between Amanda Staniotis and Virgil Ortiz, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, that division is ice cold. Nobody cares about it. There's no movement. It's just stale. And now the lightweights, it's lit over there, man. Guys is fighting 3 times since Errol Spence fought. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just a bad situation to be in. I feel bad for Spence, yo.
When you say you feel bad for Spence, I mean, why do you say that you feel bad for Spence, though?
Because he's kind of like hung himself out to dry. He's committed himself to this fight. And to where as though it's not like he can take a he said Terrence Crawford is the only fight that I want right now, right? So basically you stop yourself to be able to pursue other fights to stay busy. Because honestly, if the fans can't get the fight that they want, what they'll settle for is another good fight. But for you to be active, for me to constantly be able to see you. Gervonta Davis, that's what he gave us. Shakur Stevenson, that's what he's been giving us. Devin Haney, that's what he's been giving us. They're active. But Earl and Crawford is in this little will they, won't they situation, but they're not fighting. Like, Earl has fought 3 times in 4 years, and Bud has fought 3 times in 3 years. So it's at this point he's committed, and now he's at the mercy of Terrence Crawford's whims because he's so committed to this fight. In detail, you know I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
You know I'm right. He said he X'd out Thurman, right? They're not going to do the boots thing. So now you're Staniotis and Virgil, they're locked into their fight. So now you're just in a situation where you have to wait on this guy to see what he wants to do. Does he Does he want to have this fight in 2023, or does he want to take another safe option? We don't know.
D-Town, I hate to do this because I try to make sure that when I say metaphors, when I use metaphors, similes, automatopoeias, I try to make sure it's clean and wholesome. My faith in God and just the way that I carry myself. But D-Town, I gotta say this because it's just, it just makes me, it makes me get the impression, using this metaphorically speaking, that the way that Terrence Crawford has been acting in this whole situation, from the beginning all the way to now, even in between fighting David Ebenezer, is like a woman who keeps telling the guy over and over again that she is going to call him. She's interested in getting to know him. She's going to call him. And then when he finally reaches out, she makes up another excuse and say, I was going to call you, but. And then they finally start hanging out, communicating, hanging out. And then she keeps telling the guy, I'm celibate. And then all of a sudden the guy looks up and sees she done went on dates with somebody else, went out with him, spent time with him, became intimate with him, but then turn around when that didn't work and when that situation was over, come back and say, all right, we can talk and let's see where things go now all of a sudden. How does that man in the beginning supposed to feel if he keeps chasing after this woman? If a man is going to feel some type of way and at some point say to himself, I'm not chasing after this woman. She's stonewalling. She's gaslighting. She's playing mind games. And I don't have time for it. At some point, that man's going to say to himself, I'm moving on. With that being said, that's a natural reaction to a man dealing with a woman. So I can't even imagine when we're talking about millions of dollars on the table, where a guy like Spence in his position, he sat there and was communicating with Crawford in the beginning. Bring my metaphor back home. In Oklahoma, they talked face to face. They said, this is what we're going to do. They probably exchanged contact information because I recall Bud even confirming that they FaceTime each other a couple times. Then all of a sudden, years go by. Spence keeps saying, I want to fight you. My goal is to become undisputed in this division. I want all of the belts. I'm going to clean up my side of the street first, and then I'm coming to get that WBO title. These are Spence's words. Then he looks up. He sees Terrence Crawford agreeing with him. Yeah, we going to fight. But then he looks up again and see Terrence Crawford in the ring with David Ebenezer after his representation initiated the process to get the deal done by sending a contract. And here we are again after the fight with David Ebenezer is over. Crawford is saying, okay, now we're going to fight. And here we are, and it's still not happening. D-Town, I know that metaphor might not sit well with some people, but I'm just using it from a standpoint of us being human, us as men. When it's time for us to set our heart on something, we stay committed to the task at hand, no matter what obstacles are in our way. But at some point, just like the guy who's chasing after the woman that's gaslighting, mind games, playing the celibate game, being on dates with other guys, just not keeping it 100. At some point, the guy's got to say, I did all I could. It's all good. I'm moving on. D-Town, what's your take on all this, bro?
Manager Martin, YSM Sports Media, I watch 48 Hours. I like watching those series and stuff, 48 Hours. And I noticed that a lot of time when women play with men like that or do things like that, it don't end well for them.
Yep.
It don't end well for them. They dead or whatever the case might be. Not saying I want Crawford dead. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Earl Spence, if he ever get Terrence Crawford in that ring, everything he did to Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, your Dennis Ugas, all these guys, Leonard Bundu, Chris Algieri, Lamont Peterson, all these things that he did to all these fighters is going to manifest on Terrence Crawford. He's going to look like Martin Lawrence when Martin Lawrence had fought against Tommy Hearns, Hitman Hearns, and that dude had that big old piece of head with all those knots on his head. I'm telling you, Earl Spence is going to make an example out of Terrence Crawford because I believe that if they do fight, Terrence Crawford will be the last fight for Earl Spence at 147. And he's going to make a statement to everybody at 154 what he's coming to do. A lot of people were saying at one point, we're going to boycott Earl Spence if he don't fight Terrence Crawford. But nobody boycott Terrence Crawford when he didn't fight Earl Spence. Now Earl Spence is not fighting, hoping, and having faith to believe in a man, because the Bible tell you not to have your faith in man, but only in God. And we know Terrence Crawford, I don't even know what he is. I ain't going to call him out of character. But the problem is that Earl Spence have faith. He's not even fighting, just like YSM Sports Media said. He's not even taking no kind of tune-up, not fighting Keith Thurman, nobody. Now you got the politician fans saying, oh, Earl Spence ain't fighting. He just sitting up. He just sitting up. Well, y'all said y'all was going to boycott his fight if he's not fighting Terrence Crawford. So no matter which way Earl Spence go, they always go find a way. If Earl Spence say, forget Terrence Crawford, I'm moving to 154. They gonna say, in which we don't care what they say. Number one, we don't care. I'm just telling y'all. They gonna say, oh, Terrence Crawford and Jerome Boo Ennis ran Earl Spence out of the division. But even Terrence Crawford camp said out their mouth that Terrence Crawford might decide to take the WBO route and go up to 154 and fight Charlo. But I guess Earl Spence and Boots didn't run him out of the division. So Spence is in a lose-lose situation. I feel sad for Spence because this man actually is a man of his word. He said he's not going to fight Keith Thurman, which is mandatory. He put that man to the side. You got Terrence Crawford mandatory. I forgot his name. The one that's with Oscar De La Hoya.
Terrence Alexis Crawford. Rocha.
Yeah, Alexa Rocha. So my question is to manager more than YSM Sports Media. So Alexa Rocha, he's fighting somebody else, right? Or supposed to. So what happened?
He's fighting Anthony Young next week.
Okay, so what happened if Terrence Crawford, because he was supposed to fight Terrence Crawford, right? And Terrence Crawford led them to believe that he's going to fight Earl Spence. So I believe that might be the reason why Alexa Rocha went off to fight the other guy. I don't know. I'm just saying. So what happened if Terrence Crawford don't fight Earl Spence? That was the reason why Alexa Rocha, right? Or maybe was fighting the other guy. So if Terrence Crawford then lied or had the sanctioning bodies, the WBO sanctioning body to believe that he was going to fight Earl Spence, and that's the reason why Alexa Rocha went out to fight another guy, and he don't do it. He's getting over on everybody. Them, us, Earl Spence, Don King, Mighty Joe Young, Power Rangers, everybody he's getting over on. So I'm not understanding this. It's making me mad.
Well, when we look at one of the reasons that's been reported, this is being reported. I've talked about it before on this channel, but it's been reported. If everybody, look at the screen, they'll see how I actually put it up on the screen where it's been reported, and I have it underlined in the second paragraph. Complications seem to be coming from one side of the table, according to numerous sources. Last paragraph is underlined. One side continues to overvalue itself in the boxing and overall sports marketplace as the reason for the holdup. That is one of the main issues that not only have plagued this fight now, but plagued this fight before. YSM, you interviewed me back, I believe, in August of 2022, last summer. We was outside of the fights there on the battlefield, the battleship up in New Jersey. And I told you, and I told all the fans here on this channel that Bo Mack and Bud Crawford cannot out-negotiate Steven Espinosa, nor can they out-negotiate Al Haney. So when we start listening to these reports that's finally surfacing out, where Crawford is basically telling everybody, publicly and privately, I know my worth, and this is one of the main reasons why the fight is being held up. I basically said it then, a whole summer ago, and here we are, and we still have these same problems of quote unquote him knowing his worth or overvaluing himself when it comes to the fair market value in the sport of boxing with regards to his numbers. I'm talking about performance when I say numbers on pay-per-view, live gate, and I'm talking about projection. Those are the two P's that I always bring up when we talk about this. YSM, is it that Crawford is overvaluing himself? Is he outpricing himself? Is he thinking in his mind that he's really worth as much as he wants to get paid because he recognizes that this is going to be the fight of his life when he steps inside that ring? I mean, what's your take on this from a business aspect with money? Is how money's being concerned in this thing?
All right, Marty. I'm gonna have to be honest, right? It is your business to find out what a fighter is worth and what a fight is worth, right? I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert because I do not have the projections nor the fighter's financials to be able to make an accurate estimation. I can say this though. From what I'm hearing from the people who that's their business, Crawford has an unrealistic expectation on what the fight is worth in general. You know, a lot of times fighters base what they want off of fictitious numbers that they heard other fighters were getting. When in reality, or they think because they're more accomplished that they deserve more than fighter X. But the reality is that's not how purses are determined. Purses are determined by your drawing power, whether it's viewership on pay-per-view, regular viewership, or gate. But his, from what I'm hearing, his expectations are unrealistic. But this is coming from one side. His expectations are unrealistic, and from my standpoint, he let the lightweights take the streets. And I really, really want people to focus on what I'm saying because I'm trying to be careful of how I word this because you know fighters get sensitive and whatnot, and then when you see it, be like, oh, I know my worth, bro. I'm not saying whatever you decide to negotiate, you negotiate. But if the fight don't happen, don't blame Al Heyman. Don't blame Errol Spence. Don't blame Steven Espinosa. But what's the fights everybody's talking about right now? Like really, the casual fan. Talking about Gervonta Davis. They talking about is Gervonta Davis the best lightweight in boxing? Can Shakur Stevenson beat Gervonta Davis? Can Devin Haney beat Gervonta Davis? Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, when that's mentioned, they say, "Oh, I don't care if they fight no more." D-Town, does it have the same buzz to you? Marty, does it have the same buzz? It doesn't.
Nope, it doesn't. Are you there, YSM?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated, y'all. Because
Oh,
Marty didn't. Marty, I'm frustrated. I don't even know what to say because you know what? I'm not even gonna be politically correct. Fuck it, man. Yo, there's a put up, shut up time. It's either you're going to do it or you're not. Right? It's either you want the fight or you're not, because there's a choke point. They're not going to go past a certain point with the finances. So it's either you want it or you don't. They're not just going to mysteriously find more money. That's not really how business is done, right? If the choke point is 10 million, okay, I'm not going above that number. Now you can bet on yourself, like Bob has said 100 times. These fighters got to take lower guarantees and make the money on the back end. That's what guys did back in the day. So, if you're telling me that this fight is going to do X and that's why you want this guarantee, so if this fight is going to do X, why don't you get your money on the points since you're so confident, right? We got to take equal risk. I'm not just putting up my money to lose it. Now, everybody seems to think like these promotional companies or these networks, money is finite. No, it's not. They have a budget. They don't want to go over a said budget. Oh, well, Canelo got this. Oh, man, you're not Canelo, bro. Canelo did how many pay-per-views above 1 million? Like 5 or 6? Come on, man. Come on. That's it, Marty. You about to have me spaz out on this, John.
It's all good. Salute to Boss Hog Boxing. He's in the chat. Salute to World Combat Sport in the chat. And also salute to Chicken Talk in the chat. I always try to make
What
sure.
up, Lefty? What up, Scotty? Just put up a shut up time, yo.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. I always try to make sure that I acknowledge other content creators that's in the chat. You're absolutely correct. Blaxican Bruce, before I add you into the stream, you're already in, Blaxican Bruce. Salute to you. Let me play something real quick because I want to make sure. You know, the last time we talked about this, someone in the chat who donated to the channel that evening, I think that was I don't think that was Tuesday. I think that was the last time I was on here. He said this is a maybe it was Tuesday. I can't remember, but anyway, he said this is a PBC podcast. So I want to make sure that whatever I say about this topic of Crawford versus Spence, I'm only talking about things that have been reported as fact. And speaking of that fact, I'm going to play something that Steven Espinosa said, and I've been holding this for a little minute. This was actually last month when Steven Espinosa was in an interview, and he was asked, what is the holdup of the fight? These are the words of Steven Espinosa. Don't take my word for it. If everybody on the panel can mute your phone or your electronic device so we won't have any feedback for the viewers. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape. Messed up my audio. Hold on. I got to do it all over again. Don't take my word for it. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
Hey, Marty, real fast, right? So Scotty put in the chat, like, what's the choke point? What's the choke point? What is the monetary choke point and evidence that Bud has breached that? Right? So before, I don't know if Scotty came in late, but before I started, I said, I don't know the financials, right? Said it's not my job to determine what's a fighter's worth or not. That's for guys like Marty. And since I don't have the financials, I can't determine if Bud is being logical or illogical. All I can say is what one side has told me. But that there is a choke point in every business deal.
That's fact.
No matter what. Right? Mm-hmm. So just because I don't know what the choke point is and I can't give it to you doesn't mean there isn't one. So there's going to come a point in this deal, which I was trying to say, Scotty, that they're not going to budge off of said number. Whatever number that's their hard number, they're not going to budge from it. So you come to the point where you either want the fight or you don't. It's simple, because more money isn't going to necessarily materialize. And I feel like Scotty is caught up on Scotty is caught up on the exact number instead of the totality of what I'm saying. It's becoming to the point, right, where fans are going to stop wanting to see this fight. It's going to lose its luster. People's focus is already on another division. Gervonta Davis took the streets in less than a year. Go ahead.
You got it. Good point, YSM. And good point, Scotty. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
But it's been difficult, but really the difficulty in Spence Crawford has been in sort of how do you construct the deal with the fighters that, everyone thinks is fair. Because I think that's been the fundamental disagreement here. It's not networks, it's not promoters, there's none of those obstacles in place. So it's really about what do the prospective fighters, how do they value themselves, what do they think is a fair deal? And there's just been a genuine disagreement about how they both view what the deal is worth. And that's not something that you can sort of talk your way into. At a certain point, people have to believe they're getting a fair deal or they're not going to do it.
Okay. Did everybody hear that? On a panel, did you all hear that audio clear enough?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear. Sure did.
Okay, in the chat, can someone tell me in the chat if you heard or did not hear what Stephen Espinosa said? This was last month. Interview published with Stephen Espinosa on April the 20th or April the 19th. Last month. Did y'all in the chat, I just want to make sure the audio is clear. So when we set in the foundation to talk about this is not hearsay. Did everybody in the chat hear what I just replayed? I know everybody on the panel did.
Yes.
In the chat. Can someone tell me in the chat? Okay, I got one person in the chat that said that they did hear the audio loud and clear that I just played from my iPad. Can I get somebody else? Valerie, thank you, Valerie. Salute to all the women in the chat. That's 2 people, so that's good enough. That's 3, 4, thank you. 5 people in the chat. So to me, everybody heard what Stephen Espinosa said. So when we talk evidence, right? Let's be clear on this. When we talk evidence in the court of law, evidence is anything, including witness testimony, that can be presented as a factual basis to prove that someone or something is right, wrong, guilty, and or innocent. So even in the court of public opinion, that's why you always hear me say, members of the jury. When you hear me say that, I'm referring to all of us who are in the court of public opinion. And testimony is evidence as well. And I've used Bud Crawford's words as evidence, testimony, and I've also just used Stephen Espinosa's words as evidence, testimony. So the thing about it is Stephen Espinosa himself said, how can you construct a fair deal where both fighters are saying that they are worth one thing and the other fighter is saying that he's worth another? How can you construct a fair deal? When we have a budget, then we look at projections. Then we base it off of previous performance. When I say performance, I'm not talking about physical performance in the ring. I am talking about the numbers. Business is about numbers, and we all know that. How can you see the budget, see the projections, see the previous performance of these fighters, and then construct a deal with those 3 elements involved? We got to stick to a foundation. It's not based on how you feel and what you think. I've said it time and time again, and I'm going to say it tonight. When it comes down to a person's worth, In business, it's not based on what you feel and what you think. It is based on performance and projection. And guess who is the one who makes the authorization? The one who is willing to invest. That's the one, not you yourself. The organization, agency, company, individual, investors, etc., are the ones who say, this is the budget, this is what we see as how we're going to put something out and invest and then make a profit. This is how we can see how others that are involved in this deal can make a profit. And this is how we're going to do A, B, C, D, and E to mitigate our risks. This is Business 101. With that being said, when you include all of those elements involved, we have to deal with the facts at hand. So when we talk evidence, testimony is evidence in the court of public opinion. And I'm not talking about hearsay as testimony. I don't validate hearsay. I'm talking about facts that can only be presented by the people who can push buttons. Very simple. Blackstick and Bruce, I know I said a lot. What's your take on that, brother?
Peace, brother. Manager Marty, can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, sir. Yes, indeed.
First off, I got to take this time, man, and say I appreciate you letting me be on the panel, man. And definitely any and all tuning in, go ahead and, subscribe, like, comment, and also share to all you see on the panel. Manager Marty, D-Town Boxing, even though he stole my gray hat. I see him, doing the videos in, and also VSM. I see you.
YSM. But I appreciate you, brother.
YSM, my bad. What?
Yeah.
I'll put some respect on the name. Okay, we'll do YSM. You were the case.
Okay.
But yeah, man, everything you just said was on point. And I mean, I have me a daggum Christmas list of not just facts, because I also have a Christmas list of truth. Because one thing I keep telling people is facts can be altered. And I mean, a lot of people get that twisted, but my whole thing with Terrence Crawford is this right here. He said he knows he's worth, right? Let me go reach over here and grab my other iPad, go up here to Google, hit this Google button right here. And according to these facts, now his truth may be one thing, but these facts on Google are stating his net worth is 8 million, 10 million, and no more than 15 million. So if that's the case, if that is the truth, what I just read, those facts I just read in Google, if that is the truth, my question is, this 25 million that he claims he was going to split with Earl last year by these investors or whoever the heck these guys were. My question is, why can't you just take that little bit of money right there, instead of asking for, more than double what you've ever made and wanting all these pay-per-view numbers all of a sudden? Like, why does he want the pay-per-view cut now and he didn't want the pay-per-view cut back then? That's when these investors had all this lump sum money for him. That's one thing I'm still wanting to get an answer from his fans. And then it's he's really running out of options, like I said last show on Tuesday. Okay, you're running out of options. And you said he said, now this is again Terrence Duck Coward's words himself, saying he's ready for Earl to spin the block. And Earl been spinning the block since the first of the year. But does any of y'all have any idea what Terrence meant by that? Because the block has been wide open for him. He's brushed aside Keith Thurman, Ugas, and the other guy from De La Hoya's camp have already backed off. So it's like, and Earl says Terrence is the only fight he wants. And we don't heard 3 or 4 different dates for it. And I don't think the Terrence Duck Coward fans understand that you can't just choose any date that you want to fight. You have to, put money down on the arena. I don't think he's taken the proper notes from Floyd Mayweather, when Floyd Mayweather stated to him and the whole world that You are not your own boss until you can write the check for another fighter. And that's like a boss who writes the check for his employees. And I haven't seen Terrence Duck Coward put up or barely pay anybody since he broke away from Bob Arum. Like, whose check has he written besides possibly his own, which I doubt? Whose check has he written? Nobody's. Nobody. He hasn't put any money up front. And what's so interesting is I have family who's like that. They want everything up front, but they don't want to give anything back. Give me this, give me this, give me that, but they won't try to give you anything back. That's just the way it is. I guess some people are, and believe it or not, the person in my family who's like that was actually in the Air Force, and they actually met my and they actually were based, and they were in the Air Force, and they had a base in Nebraska. Like, again, that's where I'm from. But it's like, okay, Terrence Crawford has to understand the business of boxing. And if your worth, according to what Google's telling us, is no more than 15 million, and you want double that for this fight because you know it's a big fight, Terrence don't understand there's sanctioning fees for the belts that he has, and the Errol Spence also has as well. There's, if I'm not mistaken, when didn't you say earlier, Manager Marty, that when you're your own promoter, you can get a certain percentage of the fight growth or something along those lines?
Absolutely.
Does Terrence have his own promotional company?
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry. You know what? I don't think his fans heard you. Could you repeat that?
Terrence Buck Crawford is not a promoter, licensed promoter, and he doesn't own a promotion company, nor does he have fighters that he actually promote. That's a fact. That's not an opinion, and that's not hating. That's facts.
Yeah. Okay. Again, there you go. And see, all his fans think that don't matter, but when it comes down to the business of boxing, it will matter, and it's just a matter of I honestly, like I said, I honestly just believe Terrence either he doesn't want this fight or he wants this to be his last fight because he knows he's at the end of the road in his career. And I just, like I said, I don't think he wants the fight. I honestly really, I'm starting to believe he doesn't. But from here on, I will be boycotting all of Terrence Crawford's fights until he fights Errol. Errol Spence fights, I'll still watch because I know he's giving it his all. It ain't but so much he can do. But Terrence Duck Coward, he will not get my support in pay-per-view fights or any of his fights until he fights Errol, man. I'll pause there for a second.
I got you. I totally understand that. Let me get these two super chats. John, once again, thank you for your contribution again and your support to the channel. John said, it's from Ring Magazine. LOL. Oscar owns Ring Magazine. This is a joke. Good night, guys. God bless. John, thank you for your support, man. Look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. Love when you come and support the channel. Even if you don't contribute to the channel, just your viewership and your support alone is enough and it's very sufficient, John. Thank you so much. Salute to you, brother. Good night. We have Gregory again. I want to say this because Greg has supported this channel on Tuesday evening while we were on the podcast. And he's the one that I was referring to when I said I got to find out how can I be a blessing to this guy and send him a gift because he was, contributing to the channel, even though some of the things that he said were in confliction to things that I was saying. And it's okay to agree to disagree. So I appreciate Gregory. Hey, Greg, I have to read your super chat. I'm gonna read it 2 times for the sake of people that's in the back because I have a lot of respect for you, Greg, and you're one of the few Terrence Ball Crawford fans that I know of. I can't speak for Blackstick and Bruce. He is from Nebraska, and I can't speak for D-Town Boxing, but you're one of the few Terrence Ball Crawford fans that I know of that have encountered this channel that have been very transparent and have kept it all the way 100, even when it was time to hold Bud accountable. So I do respect you even more, Greg. Thank you for your contribution again to the channel. And I'm going to read it twice for that sake. Greg says, it was me who made the PBC comments, Manager Marty. I am a Bud fan. However, I do think he has overpriced himself and not fear of Spence. Let me say that again. It was me who made the PBC comment, Manager Marty. I am a Bud fan. However, I do think he has overpriced himself, not fear of Spence. Thank you so much, Greg, for your contribution and your honesty. Much respect, because a lot of Bud Crawford fans, when I say Bud Crawford fans, I'm not talking about just fans of just Crawford. I'm talking about avid boxing fans of Terrence Bud Crawford. They're not completely honest enough when there's questions that I have personally asked them on this channel. And when they were being honest, I actually asked them other questions and evidence that they could not produce answers to, nor can they produce evidence based on not hearsay, but facts. And that's what it boils down to, the facts. So if Greg can see the facts, and he's a Bud fan, I am almost certain everyone else can. Now, if you choose to acknowledge the facts, that's your personal business. I digress. Detail boxing. What's your take on this? I know my worth. Overpricing. We've heard what Steven Espinosa said himself. He's in the back office. He's the one who pushes the buttons to sign the checks over. So we got to use his words as weight. What's your take on this whole thing about the detail?
I remember when he said that the PBC fighters, I believe it was Keith Thurman and whoever else, said that they priced themselves out because they don't want to fight Terrence Crawford. But the very thing that he accused other people of doing, he's really the man in the mirror. I mean, he said that the PBC fighters didn't want to fight him. They ducking him. Keith Thurman said that Terrence Crawford and them never sent him a contract. You know, he never wanted to fight Sean Porter. You know, he never said anything to Yordanis Ugas when Yordanis Ugas called him out. In Oklahoma, Earl Spence actually gave him an ultimatum. He told Bob, he told Bomac, and he told Crawford. He said, call Al Heyman. They never called Al Heyman. I done seen two different interviews with Terrence Crawford. One with Charlemagne, and I think it was another. I can't remember which one it was. And Terrence Crawford said that the fight, now, one of them with Charlemagne was before Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford met up in Oklahoma. And this other interview was less than a month after Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford met in Oklahoma. And both times, Terrence Crawford said the fight would happen in the future. So I keep telling people, Terrence Crawford did not want to fight Earl Spence. When Earl Spence, was talking to Terrence Crawford, and Bob Arum said, hey, Earl Spence, stay away from Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford should have told Bob Arum, hey, you my promoter. Make that fight. What do you mean stay away from me? I want you to make that fight. I want to fight Earl Spence next. Call Al. He never said that. He walked away laughing. As a matter of fact, it was a guy that was standing right there with them. He asked Bob Arum over 10 times, hey, when you going to make that fight? Bob Arum never answered. So, me personally, Terrence Crawford, everything that he accused everybody else of doing is actually him. And I believe that Terrence Crawford know that this might be his last fight. He's going to need majority of that money for the hospital bills. Not saying I want something to happen to Terrence Crawford. Not saying that. I hope both fighters go out okay. But Terrence Crawford know that Earl Spence is a different beast. He know that Earl Spence don't need no tune-up. When he met Earl Spence, he know that Earl Spence is not playing. Everything we said about Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford knows the same thing. So he's playing the puppet master game with his fans and having them to believe that he's a killer. And I'm not saying Terrence Crawford is trash. I'm not saying that. He's a great fighter. But he know that he knows a smaller percentage for him to beat Earl Spence. Put it that way. Now, I'm not saying Terrence Crawford can't beat Earl Spence. Yes, he has a chance to beat him. But it's a greater chance for Earl Spence to beat Terrence Crawford. And me personally, Terrence Crawford said he knows his worth. Well, Terrence Crawford, none of the other promoters believe that you're worth what you say. So why would you think Al Heyman believe that you're worth what you say? We have evidence that you don't make the amount of money that you would make fighting Earl Spence Jr. We know that for a fact. So if you know what you're worth and you believe that this fight will make a lot of money, then take small up front He take the rest on the back end.
Can I piggyback off that, Manager Marty?
Absolutely.
Just a tad bit. Just going back to what D-Town Boxing was saying. He knows his worth, okay, and it's not that we don't believe him, because everybody is really priceless when you think about it. But when he keeps saying he knows his worth, Showtime and Fox, they may agree with him, but they're like, okay, just show us the receipts. That's all they want to see, because I think the Terrence Bud Crawford fans are thinking that Al Heyman controls the money, and once again, Al Heyman gets the funding from, and correct me if I'm wrong, Al Heyman gets the funding from Showtime and pay-per-view and whoever the sponsors may be, and then he gets it to the fighters. But Terrence is like, I want 25, I want 50 million, whatever. But again, fans, he cannot get that unless he has the proper receipts. And just telling people on Twitter that you made $10 million is not a good enough receipt. It's just not. And saying this is more starting to be like daggum Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard than it is Sugar Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hearns. Because but the only thing is, Sugar Ray Leonard was the A side golden boy at the time, and Aaron Pryor wanted to fight him. But in this case, Aaron Pryor is like Errol Spence. He wants to fight, the biggest and best out there, but the biggest and best out there keep playing, keep away, and you can't touch this, and everything else like that, where he won't fight him. And the fight never happened in the sport, and it could have, but Ray moved up, and look at Aaron Pryor. He was like a lightweight, wasn't he? Yeah, see, just like Terrence Crawford came up from lightweight, and then didn't Sugar Ray start at welterweight, and Earl Spence started at welterweight. But the only thing is, Earl Spence is not the one running. Terrence is. That's what I'm starting to think of it as, is Aaron Pryor versus Sugar Ray Leonard with the glove on the other hand, or the shoe on the other foot, with them two, man. It's just that they don't want to fight because they know it's in danger, of their career.
Yeah, good point.
As far as Ray Leonard and Terrence Crawford go, and it's like, all right, the fight's staring you right in the face, man, and you done beat Duran, you done beat Hearns and what's the other cat's name, Benavidez. It's like, what other option is there? Here come Pryor, but he just won't fight him. Here come Earl Spence. Terrence just won't fight him.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, let me piggyback off of what D-Town said, since I've been talking about evidence, and we all know that I wrote the tape. If you both gentlemen can mute your phones, I want to play something that I did on October the 25th, 2022. You all can go back on my channel, not now, of course, a little bit later on after this broadcast is over shortly. I produced and published content where I pointed out something that Terrence Bud Crawford himself said. Remember, I'm talking about testimony as evidence in the court of public opinion. On October the 25th, 2022, I published this content where Terrence Bud Crawford conducted an interview that was published by Brian Custer on October 25th, 2021. Just so happened that I produced it on the same day, a year apart. Let's hear what Terrence Bud Crawford said. Now, I'm taking what I am about to play off of my own channel, but it was basically an interview that I was referencing when Terrence Bud Crawford did the interview with Brian Custer. And this is on October 25th, 2022, when I published it. And so if you want to go back on my channel, not now, but later on, and you'll understand exactly why I'm playing this. But this is the words of Terrence Bud Crawford himself. And this is what he said in October of 2021. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
It got to be 50-50. Those fighters got to want to fight you too. You can't just, blame it on one side of the playing field. That's like if I go to a fighter right now and say, hey, do you want to fight me? And the guy say, yeah, I'll fight you. Give me $20 million or $10 million. Then, it's not, a fight that can get made because it probably is not worth that much, or that fighter probably not worth that much. So, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that goes into making a big fight too.
Y'all heard that? On the panel, did y'all hear that?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
What about you, D-Town? Did you hear? Could you hear that? Okay, let me see if I can get a mic check in the chat. Mic check 1, 2 in the chat. Can I get at least one person?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Bruce. In the chat,
Oh, chat. Okay.
can I get somebody to acknowledge whether they heard or did not hear what Terrence Bud Crawford said in October of 2021? I just want to make sure we all heard it so we can be on the same page with the context. 1, 2, 3. Fair enough. I got 3 people that heard that. Terrence Bud Crawford said in October of 2021, he said, that's like a fighter going to another fighter saying, his words, not mine, I want 20 million to fight you. And Crawford himself said that fight might not even be worth that amount, or the fighter who's asking for the $20 million might not even be worth that themselves. Did y'all hear that?
Oh, yeah.
What a difference a year makes. Because here we are in 2023. And we've heard what Steven Espinosa said when I rolled the tape on Steve just now, when he talked about why the fight is being held up. And then we even see reports, if you're new to the audience or you're watching the replay of this live, where for the last 2 months, we've been hearing that. And you look at the second paragraph, I will read it again. Complications seem to be coming from one side of the table, according to numerous sources. Why is that? Look at the last paragraph. It is underlined, last sentence. Why is that? Because one side continues to overvalue itself in the boxing and overall sports marketplace as the reason for the hold up. This is evidence now. This is not hearsay. So you put all of the pieces to the puzzle together. You saw the report that was out. I just read it to you. That was last month. You heard Steven Espinosa. The report I put out, that was last month. The report that I just showed you on the screen, there's 2 different reports. One was from last month. This one is more recent, the one I just put up there. You have Terrence Bud Crawford himself in October of 2021 in an interview with Brian Custer. He's actually speaking on the blueprint of how to overprice yourself. Name another fighter who gave an example on how to do it. I can't find another fighter. He said it so confidently enough. But you know what's interesting about that? Because now this ties into what I was talking about earlier in the beginning of this broadcast, when I kept getting hate mail from Terrence Bud Crawford fans for the last 7 months I've been on YouTube about the fact that I'm producing content on Crawford. Nobody challenged what Crawford said, though.
True.
So you'll challenge what Manager Marty said when I'm producing evidence. You'll challenge what Detail Boxing says when he produces evidence. You might even challenge Blackstick Bruce on what he said in the chat. You'll challenge anyone, content creator or not, who publicizes their opinion based on facts and evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't challenge the words of Bud Crawford himself. You'll challenge me for saying something about Terrence Crawford when I'm using his words against him, his own words. But you won't go to him yourself or comment on the things that Crawford say himself that make him look like the culprit. That's interesting to me. Greg, thank you again for your contribution to the channel. Hold up, I'm trying to get your... Here we go. All right. Greg, thank you again for your support and your super chat. And Greg says these words: the $50 million investors were most likely connected to Warren Buffett, who, as we know, is a good friend of Bud. Bud will make Spence think he was in a third car wreck if they ever fight, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm okay with that. If all of those things are true, Greg, I'm okay with that. If he make Spence feel like he's in another car wreck if they fight in the ring, if Warren Buffett is a good friend of Bud's, if the $50 million was going to come from Warren Buffett, I'm okay with all that. Here's the issue that I'm not okay with. I'm not okay with all three of those things being true. And Bud's actions are saying otherwise. So if all three of those things are true, that he can beat Spence decisively, convincingly, and dangerously, and if the $50 million was coming from Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett is a friend of Crawford, I'm okay with all three of those things if they're factual. The issue is his actions don't produce the words that you just said, Greg. Because if I know I can beat somebody, and I had a friend who had 50,000, forget 50 million. If I had a friend, a wise investor who had 50,000 to throw away, knowing that I can beat somebody and make that kind of money when I'm basically financially in dire need, oh, you ain't gonna see no stalling from me. There's people I will fight right now for free. So if I knew somebody that had 50 million and I knew I can beat the person and make them feel like they're in a car wreck, oh, we ain't even gonna have this issue. So the actions part, Greg, that's the part that conflicts with what Steven Espinosa said. That's the part that conflicts with even Bud Crawford himself said. He didn't even go up to 50 million in his example. He used 20 million. Isn't that one of the numbers they said he was asking for in the beginning of this thing?
So true. So true. Can I ask Craig one question?
Sure.
Craig, if you want to type your comment, let me know. Was Ugas the same after Earl Spence got through with him? Was Sean Porter the same after Earl Spence got through with him? Was Mikey Garcia the same after Earl Spence got through with him? Because your boy Terrence Duck Coward heard about those fights or saw all those fights, and that's what I'm believing he don't want to happen to him. Because once again, your boy Terrence Duck Coward has no other choice and no other options right now but Earl. And if he does have him, they keep running from him as far as what the news media keeps saying. So I need for you to type your excuse, explanation, reasons, or because it ain't adding up. It just ain't adding up.
Let me get the super check detail and I'll come to you. Ari Ryder definitely have been supporting the channel. Thanks, Ari, all the time. A salute to you. Thank you for your contribution, man. Ari says Greg is a nutty Bud fan. LOL, LMAO. Let me say this because I've been getting a whole lot of bad publicity every time I say something about Bud Crawford, even though we all know it's true. Ari is not a paid endorsed what do you call that?
What do you
call it? Huh?
You said sponsor? What? Donated?
Yeah, so he's not a paid spokesman for the channel. I didn't get him to say that. That was his own opinions about the gentleman Greg, and we're going to leave that there. It's all in fun. But, Bud Crawford fans have been chewing me up. Detail, that they chew you up in your comment sections. And the thing about it that perplexes me about it is everything that I've been saying is from a business perspective. That's it. And it's all facts. It's all facts. And I've been consistent with the facts and the business perspective, not just on my channel, on your channel, Detail Boxing, and some other content creators' channel who I went on their platforms and their panels. Detail, you heard what Bud Crawford himself just said in October of 2021. He just laid out an entire scenario like he's accustomed to it. Like he knows the process of how to overprice himself. And here we are hearing about it a year and some change later, and it's actually happening. And he's the one on the other side of that. What's your take on that, big dog?
That's like I was saying earlier, how he was saying that some of these fighters were pricing themselves out, but the fighters he claimed that was pricing themselves out was on the PBC side. He didn't have no problem giving American more money. He didn't have no problem, fighting an old Kell Brook. He didn't have no problem fighting, some of these other fighters that he knew that he could beat. The only person on Terrence Crawford resume that's really worth something is Sean Porter, a retired Sean Porter. Sean Porter was talking about retiring after the Earl Spence fight. So he even gave Sean Porter's problems. They tried to lowball Sean Porter. Sean Porter had to pull out the mandatory. So when it came down to a solid fighter, Terrence Crawford didn't want no smoke. Once again, Terrence Crawford is the man in the mirror. He's the man who is accusing everybody else. He's actually that guy he's talking about. But see, Terrence Crawford, in his mind, he have people around him that's yes men. People around him that are telling him whatever he want to hear. But all that's going to lead up to is that the fight is not going to be made because of the people that's in Terrence Crawford's ear telling him this and telling him that. The problem is you got people, Terrence Crawford fans, and that's why I keep telling people, salute to Boss Hall. But that's what I was telling people, that I was a Terrence Crawford fan before I was an Earl Spence fan. So people think that I don't like Terrence Crawford. That's not the problem. I go for Terrence Crawford and by every fight that he had. The only fight that I would not go with Terrence Crawford on is against Earl Spence. And it's because of the moves that he has made. If he would have been making the right moves before I've seen Earl Spence, I'll be going for Terrence Crawford before Earl Spence. And it don't matter that Earl Spence is from Texas and I'm from Texas. It don't matter. The problem is that Terrence Crawford is moving a way that I can't go with. I can't do it. I'm a real man. And the moves that Terrence Crawford is making, I don't understand how grown men and grown women will validate and give this man an excuse for making moves like that. The moves he's making is almost like he's a teenager. A grown man don't make moves like that. A grown man can stand on his square and say, hey, I want a tune-up. Hey, I want to fight. Hey, I don't want to fight. Terrence Crawford would tell you he don't want to fight 5-6 times, and Terrence Crawford fans would say he didn't say that. When it's on the video, him saying he don't want to fight. On the video said he's not taking 40%. He's not taking 50%. The fight going to happen in the future. I mean, the man has said all these different things. Ain't no way that Terrence Crawford could be a top pound-for-pound fighter fighting C-level opponent. A fighter like Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence should go out their career with a bang. That means fights that we could hold on to our seats. Fights that we are talking about 2 or 3 or 5 years later. Terrence Crawford, I can't talk about no fights that he had. Tell you the truth, it's no fight that Terrence Crawford really had that I could go back years later and talk about with my, grandbabies or whatever. He ain't that person. That's all I have to say.
I got you. Before I bring Boss on, let me get these 2 super chats here. Let's start with, sorry, I did that one. Let's start with my guy, Byron. Byron is one of my day one supporters here on the channel. Whether he contributed or not, I'm going to always acknowledge him. Thanks, Byron, for your contribution, because you did contribute tonight. And I thank you for your viewership and your support, as always, Byron. Byron says in the super chat, just showing support, you are a blessing. Thank you, Byron. I really appreciate it. And let's get Gregory again. Greg, thank you for your contribution all night again. Thanks. Really appreciate it, man. Greg says Spence had a life and death fight with Porter and won only because of the knockdown. Bud made Porter dad save him. Thanks again for your support, Byron and Greg. We got my guy. Haven't seen him in a while. Always a pleasure. My guy, Boss Hog Boxing. What's up, Boss Hog?
Y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Man, y'all in here cooking tonight. I said, man, let me get in here, man.
Come on in, brother.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate you, Marty. Appreciate D-Town. H-Town, that's all love. And Blackskin, man. Appreciate you too, brother. To talk about Terrence Crawford, I see a lot of the Bud buddies, they like to, use the things he say. And that's fine, but I pay attention to actions, right? Terrence Crawford, has said that he's been calling out Earl Spence, and according to the Bud buddies, he's been doing this for 5 years, right? So we have an example right now of Errol Spence telling PBC, I am not fighting another fight unless it's against Terence Crawford. Correct?
That's
So
correct.
Terence Crawford, who was signed to Top Rank, who was the face of Top Rank after Manny Pacquiao left, had no problems fighting Jeff Horn, had no problems fighting Benavidez, had no problem fighting Mean Machine. My take on that is, if you so-called had this passion and drive to fight Errol Spence, why didn't you go to Bob and say, I'm not fighting another fighter unless it's against Errol Spence? So I guess I'm asking y'all, you guys in the chat, and what do y'all think about that? Because I'm paying. To me, it's like he's saying one thing, and the Bud Buddies are saying one thing, but he's doing another thing. So I just want to get y'all perspective. I mean, I know Marty, this your show, but I just want to get your perspective on that, because I mean, you're on the business side of boxing, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to get your perspective, Marty, on, okay, you have a fighter publicly saying one thing, right? He's the face of your promotional company, right? Shouldn't he have the power to come to you and be like, I'm not fighting another fight unless it's against this guy right here? This guy's the number one welterweight in our division. This is who I want to fight. So I just want to get everybody's opinion on that.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh,
It's your show, Mark. Go ahead.
yeah. Hey, listen, guys. I want to say this to you. We all family on the panel, man. It's okay if it's my show. I ain't the star of this show. It's about you guys. It's about the chat. It's about the viewers.
All
I
right.
humble myself, man. So I appreciate you guys coming on, man. So, Blackskin Bruce, you want to go?
But
It's
I'm
all good, bro.
comedy to this right here, man, because that's what Terence Crawford's actions are. Some daggum comedy to me, man. So if anybody can help me understand, I'm gonna try to answer your question like the best I can. The reason why he couldn't go to Bob's tail is because he was thinking about leaving Bob. But before he even put it out there about leaving Bob, Bob was gonna want him to fight a big fight like Earl. The only way, and go back and we trace the steps all the way back to Trinidad de la Hoya. The only way Bob does business with another promotional company like Don King Promotions or PBC or Promotions or anybody like that, the only way he does that is when his fighter is the A side. Yeah, De La Hoya, A side, big attraction, bigger pay-per-views, better flow. I mean, I can say as many followers, but he was the golden boy when he fought Trinidad. Look at Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury was the A side. He had the most followers in the UK or wherever he's from. See, look at I mean, I can name a few other fights, but that's the only way Bob does business with other promoters. And so Terence is not the A side. He wasn't the big attraction, the big draw. So that's why Terence Crawford couldn't say that to Bob about give me the Earl or or I'm out. And then, I mean, did that answer your question? One reason why? Okay, because and that's the main reason why. The other thing is with Terence, he wants all the risk. No, he wants all the reward, the biggest reward, and the lowest risk or no risk. And that's why we've seen him go to Floyd Mayweather, take pictures with him. Go to Jay-Z, take pictures with him. Rock Nation, take pictures with 50 Cent, take pictures with De La Hoya Hopkins. Everybody except for Al Heyman, because he went to all those promotional companies except for Don King, and he wants one fight for the biggest pay. But that's not the way boxing works. As even Manager Marty can attest to this. When he gets, if you want to get a big fight with a promotional company, you have to cite at least a 3-fight deal so that the promoter has time to make their money back if they don't make it back in the fight in the first fight. Because again, Terence does not have the track record or any pay-per-view numbers of more than 160,000 or 150,000, I believe. So that's why he couldn't go to Bob and say, I want Earl or I'm out.
I want to say something. Tyson Fury wasn't the A side to Wilder. Wilder was the A side to Tyson Fury. Remember they had a first fight, and then the second fight, I think when Tyson Fury got with Bob, and the deal is that Tyson Fury already had I think a promoter or whatever, but they did a joint promotion with Bob Arum and I think Queen. What was it? Queenberry's promotions. Manager Marty. Tyson Fury already had another manager over him, right?
Yeah, it was a joint promotion between Queensberry, Frank Warren over in the UK, and Bob Arum, who had the American plug. So they kind
Oh,
of came together. Yeah.
Yeah. So
appreciate
Deontay.
the correction.
Yeah. So Deontay Wilder was actually the A side. And I believe that if Tyson Fury was with Bob and Tyson Fury was the A side, he probably wouldn't let Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder because he don't want to lose. If Tyson Fury had the belt, the WBC, and he was the A side, probably he probably wouldn't even made that fight. But it was just because he was joint with him that he wasn't the full sole owner over Tyson Fury. So that's why they made that fight. And that was the second fight when Tyson Fury had joined Bob Arum.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. See?
Let me get this super chat in detail. And I would like for you to answer Boss Hog's question. I'll answer Boss Hog's question, and we have the gentleman Greg, who he's in the background. I'm gonna let him on, but I want to make sure we answer Boss Hog's question first, so that we can get his question answered. Then we'll bring Greg on. Ari Ryder, once again, Ari, thank you for your contribution to the channel. And he says Bud blamed Bob. He blamed PBC. He blamed fighters. He blamed Spence. He blamed the contracts. LOL. DAMN. Ain't nobody left to blame but Bud. LOL. Quack. LOL. Salute to you, Ari. Oh man. Boss Hog, if you want to ask detail your question again so he can be caught up to speed on that.
Yeah, basically, I was saying since Terrence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao left, went to PBC. So since Terrence Crawford became the face of Top Rank, if he so-called desired this Errol Spence fight, why didn't he do what Errol Spence is doing now? Why didn't he go to Bob and say, look, I'm not fighting Jose Benavidez Jr., I'm not fighting Kelly Jr., I'm not fighting nobody that's not elite. I want Errol Spence. Because at one point, they both had one belt at one point before Errol Spence started collecting them belts. So why didn't he go to Bob or whoever and say, look, this is the fight I want. Let's make this happen.
Well, like I was saying earlier, that right before it was an interview with Terrence Crawford before they met up in Oklahoma. Terrence Crawford said on Charlemagne, I think it was the Breakfast Club, he said that the fight will happen in the future for all the marbles. Then after the Oklahoma, when they met up together, less than a month, Terrence Crawford was on another interview said that the fight will happen in the future. So the whole time, Terrence Crawford wanted to fight Errol Spence at the very end for all the marbles. That's what he said on Charlemagne. He said for all the marbles, for the whole thing. So that was his mindset anyway. And then Bob said that Terrence Crawford never asked for the Errol Spence fight. Now, I'm not taking what Bob said, what I'm saying, wholeheartedly. I'm not saying that. But he said that Terrence Crawford wanted the money. And he said the money in Bob's eyes was him fighting Josh Taylor over there with Josh Taylor country. So this is the way that Bob looking at it because Crawford said he wanted the money. So me personally, Terrence Crawford was not trying to fight Errol Spence. He could have when he moved up to 147 from 140. He was able. He was undisputed. He had all 4 belts. He was able to go up and fight any champion. But you got these people saying, well, oh, no, the WBO is different and all that. No, because Bomac said in her own interview that they decided to take the easy route. And they knew that Jeff Horn was the easiest champion at 147. They knew that Manny Pacquiao, well, once they caught wind that Manny Pacquiao was not activating his rematch clause with Jeff Horn, they ran up to get that WBO strap. And I'm not blaming Crawford for doing it. But what I'm saying is, if Manny Pacquiao would have activated that rematch clause, what was he going to do? You think he was going to go up there and fight Errol Spence for the IBF? Nope. You think he was going to go fight for the vacant WBC for Danny Garcia? I don't know, maybe, but he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So my deal is I have not seen anything from Terrence Crawford that was telling me he wanted to fight Errol Spence Jr. even when he moved up to 147, while he was at 147, and right today, he's still not signing the contract.
Yeah. Salute to Rachel Donier. I see you in the chat, all the way from the Philippines. It's evening over here. Good morning over there. Um, Boss Hall, it's very simple. If a fighter come to me and say, listen, Manager Marty, I want to fight this particular fighter. The first thing I'm going to ask is, who is the fighter? Once he tell me or she tells me who the fighter is, it's my responsibility to make sure that the timing is right. It's all about timing in business, and it's all about timing in boxing, inside and outside of the ring. So if the timing is right, let me see if I can clarify that up. So when I talk about the timing, I'm really referring to, is this fighter you want to fight? Are they a draw? That's number one. Live gate. Yes. Number two, have they fought on pay-per-view? They have? Yes. Are they a draw? Or have they been opponents on pay-per-view? Oh, so they have been the A side on pay-per-view, and they are a draw. It's three box checked already. Just those three boxes alone is enough for me to say, okay, let's make it happen. It's not going to be a whole lot of, okay, let's make it happen. And let me just say this in the proper context. We're talking about if they're in the same weight division. I'm not talking about if a fighter come to me and say, Manager Marty, I want to fight Fury. He's 300 pounds and I'm 120. That's not what I'm talking about. Let's keep this on the same page here. I'm talking about if both of those fighters are in the same division. That person has 3 titles, 3 championship titles. You have one. Oh, we're going to unify. You want to fight him? There's no problem. It's just very simple. When a fighter wants to fight in this business, they fight. And when one fighter or both fighters don't want to fight, they don't fight. It's just that simple. We have Greg Quarterbaum, who's been a blessing to this channel and contributing to this channel. Greg, thank you so much for your viewership, for your support, for your contribution, and even joining the panel. I believe this is your first time on the panel. Welcome, Greg.
It is. It's very good to meet you, young men. I wanted to get a chance to just make a few statements about Terrence. As you know, I'm a Terrence Crawford fan. I'm a boxing fan. I'm 67. I've been around in different parts of boxing for a very long time. I'm going to say a few things about this fight. Let's start with Bob Arum. Bob Arum's been around since the 60s. He was never going to make this fight with Al Heyman because there was a lot of conflict that led to their first lawsuit, if you remember. Now, Bob and De La Hoya lost the second lawsuit because the court said Al's not a promoter. Regardless, y'all are right, but he's not a promoter. So that conflict is still there to this day. They make smaller fights together, but this big fight, Heyman had all the leverage. He had signed up all the top welterweights. So if Terrence was going to fight anybody at the top tier of welterweights, it was going to be with Al Heyman, except Bob didn't want that to happen. Now, Terrence doesn't trust anybody. That's his big problem. So he blamed Bob for not getting the fight. He blamed everybody. So I heard someone say that. So he has done a lot of that. His 2 lawyers tried to make the fight with Al Heyman, and they echoed what Bob had said, that Al doesn't want to fight. Al might have wanted to fight, but like all promoters, they want to have control. And Al was not going to give up control of that fight. The investors that I spoke of, I said most likely they were connected to Warren Buffett. That's speculation, but Terrence is friends with Warren Buffett because they're both from Nebraska. They've been seen together. The friendship has been written about. So that was only speculation because, of course, Warren is very wealthy. If that happened, that's where those investors probably were connected to. I don't know whether it was or not, but that made the most sense based on what I know about them. But I think Bud has overpriced himself. He is at the end of his career because of his age. However, I do believe he'll beat, personally, I do believe he'd beat easily. But what I'm seeing when I look at some of the statements written and said about Crawford and things of that nature, it appears to me to be one-sided. I don't think anybody's hating on Bud, particularly those who are on these sites. But I think when you say you look at his actions, you're correct. A lot of stuff Bud says is contradictory. A lot of things he's done doesn't make sense. But then the sport of boxing don't make sense a lot of the times. The business, I mean, it's been called the theater of the absurd. Uh, I've seen a lot of different things happen in business that I had been involved in, you know, on a smaller level. But nevertheless, I've seen things like, how the hell is that happening? But it does, because you have a lot of little fiefdoms throughout boxing. Everybody wants to be the top dog. Comes down to, I mean, Heyman is just like Bob Aaron, just like Eddie Hearn, just like Frank Warren, just like De La Hoya. All of them got a little mess with them, so to speak. And when they're doing business, it comes out. With this fight, because Terrence doesn't trust anyone, he hasn't been getting the results of getting the fight that he wanted. He's been told multiple things. So he made the bad mistake of trying to do things on his own back last year when everybody wanted to fight. So I do believe he scuttled the fight just in the way, as you said, he moved. I don't think he went out to be unethical. I don't think he went out to do something because he was afraid. He didn't know what he was doing. I'll say that right away. He did not know what he was doing. And now we're at a point where the luster of the fight is really gone for the most part. I mean, we want to still see it, but when we was hot for it, all that passion, all that back and forth that everybody done, we were at a fever pitch. And now it's like, okay, what's the problem now? That's where we are with that. I mean, we done seen Tank come and do some things. He's growing. He'll probably do some greater things as he moves on. They're still stuck where they've caused the welterweight division to cool down, as you all said. I don't think the fight's going to happen. I would love to see it happen. I don't think it's going to. But I don't think for 1 minute Terrence is scared of Spence at all. I just think the way that they've handled getting this fight has been incredibly bad. And I'm still a Spence fan. I don't dislike anybody in boxing. I like Spence too. But I think the way we've handled it, as you used to say, representation has been good. The representation that Terrence has had, including with Bob Aaron, they weren't able to get this fight done. And the only way that fight was ever going to happen, if Terrence had went on and signed with PBC, I think it would have been a 3-fight deal. That's something he didn't want to do. He had some distrust of Heyman, but that was the only way that fight was going to really happen. And nobody really was able to get this to Terrence, because Terrence is very stubborn. He's a nice guy in many ways, but he's very stubborn and he's very suspicious because he doesn't understand how insidious the business of boxing can be. He's been around it, but he doesn't have the experience to navigate it properly. The BLK thing, I think, regardless of how it happened, that was luck. We can say what he got 10 million, whether he didn't get 10 million, but that fight was pure luck. It's just by happenstance. It was an easy fight to get. He didn't have to sign away anything other than for the one fight. So it made sense to take it. I don't know why they didn't just let Terrence take the fight. Okay, take that fight, come back, and then we'll sign. See, I take the position that PBC needed to have that big fight signed because of what's going on in the broadcast industry. As you know, Paramount, Showtime is getting ready to get folded into Paramount. It's already begun to happen. Steven Espinosa has already got a new position. So it's very possible that boxing might get dropped if they decide boxing's not making enough money. Where's that going to leave Al Heyman? He's going to have to need to find a new broadcast partner. Having that fight already signed makes him a little more valuable because he got this big fight already signed. Had they had talked a little better, and again, had Terrence understood all these other forces, we probably would have had the fight signed. I don't know whether it still would have been made. But that's how I've been looking at it. I've been looking at a lot of sites because I like to look at you young guys. Y'all know a little bit about boxing. all of you all are passionate, and I'm very happy to see that, because at my age, a lot of the guys who was around in boxing during my time, when I was 18, 19, 20, a lot of those guys aren't watching boxing anymore. Most of them have passed away. I mean, I'm from Maryland, D.C. area, so I came up with Ray Leonard and all of them because they lived in this area. So we boxed and got involved. But I'm still a huge fan of boxing, and I'm really happy to see a guy like yourself and other guys still keeping the sport alive, even if I don't always agree with you, because I'm usually going by things that I know of or things that I have done. It doesn't always have to apply with today's trend with social media and so forth, but that's what I'm drawing my experience from and my opinions from, and some of the things that I do know that are going on. But that's kind of what I have to say about this fight. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it does, but it has a lot to do with Terrence not really knowing what he's doing, not having people he trusts enough to make it happen. But if the fight does happen, Terrence beats Spence very easily. That's it for me on that.
I got you. I appreciate your perspective, Greg. You said a lot, so I'm gonna try to unpack just pieces of it.
I'm sorry I talk so much.
No. Listen, you don't ever have to apologize. You're more than welcome to be on here. But Greg, you're new to the channel as far as the panel, so I always make sure I give everybody the proper respect, whether we agree or disagree, to be able to voice their perspective.
I appreciate that.
Let me get this super chat real quick. I have a few questions. I have a few questions for you. So that we all can get your perspective and so that we all can be on the same page. Ari Writer, thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel. Ari says, why he all of a sudden gets suspicious with Errol? I think he's referring to Crawford. Thank you for your support, Ari. I have several questions. Let's start with the Warren Buffett friendship. You called it a friendship between Warren Buffett and Crawford. And you said that because Warren Buffett is a friend of Crawford, you assume that the $50 million that Crawford was offering Spence in a phone conversation that he had with him, that it was from Warren Buffett.
No. I'm saying that most likely that those investors were connected to him. That I'm saying Warren Buffett more than likely directed Terrence toward those particular investors. I'm not saying Warren put up the money.
Okay, so Warren has some sort of intricate hand
because they're friends, and Warren is very wealthy.
I see. I had a question about that. If Warren Buffett is his friend, why do you think it would take all of this long time for Warren Buffett or any of the investors that he have? Why would it have taken Crawford to go to BLK Prime in order for that to happen? In other words, is Crawford, let me reframe that. So Crawford didn't bring none of that up to Spence before he went over there with BLK Prime, negotiating with them, nor did he bring this up to Spence before they sent him a contract first. So my question is, why do you think that, because we talked about timing in the business, timing wise, if that was accessible to him from a friend like a Warren Buffett who have access to those investors, he was away from Bob Arum from November of 2021, all the way to now. And so before he did the fight in December of 2022 with David Evanesian, he was away from Bob for a whole year. Why do you think it would have taken literally a few months before a whole year is out for him to have access to that money?
My feeling was a feeling. I can't say for certain. The only person that I know that Terrence is friends with who has that kind of money or even access to that kind of money is Warren Buffett. So my feeling is the likelihood, if he had access to an investment firm, he stated that he told Al Heyman about the investment firm and that one of the firms actually knew Al. Now, Al got his money once from an investment firm, so it kind of makes sense that at least if there was a $50 million, it would be because he had a friendship with a guy who's a billionaire and could steer him in that direction. Whether that happened or not, I don't know.
I
But it
got you.
makes sense for that to be the most likely answer.
I got you. Let's keep your theory and let's see if this makes sense to the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend, me. My friend has all these investors that he has access to, and he himself has buku money. If my friend told me that the gentleman who can push buttons and sign paperwork to make something happen on the other side is the guy, and told me to talk to him, I would turn around to my friend who had access to all these investors and who had these resources himself and say, if you claim or you know somebody that said that they know Spence's representation, why don't y'all talk to Al Heyman? Why y'all sending me on a duck goose hunt to have a conversation with an Al Heyman if I don't understand business? Like you said, he don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand numbers. Like I don't understand negotiation. But that's not what happened. What really happened, and we can take Crawford's words to prove my point. Crawford said himself on IG Live, and you heard him, and everybody in the panel and the viewers heard him, said, I talked to the big wigs myself. Right? He didn't say, well, I know somebody that knows Al Heyman that can negotiate on my behalf. That's not what he said. His pride said, oh, I don't need representation. I can talk to them for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, if he's saying those things and showing with his actions, right? Where was those guys like a Warren Buffett? Why weren't they there to put their arm around this young guy's shoulder, knowing he don't know that, to send him on a duck goose hunt to talk to Al Heyman in the first place if they claim they knew Al?
Didn't I tell you in our conversation, Bud don't know what he's doing? Didn't I say that?
Yeah, my son don't
Yeah.
look. Hey, Greg, I got two sons.
Right.
I got two sons. Right. When it come to business, my 19-year-old, my 16-year-old son. Well, one of my little Marty, he'll be 16 soon. My point is, they don't know what they're doing about business. I'm their father. It's my responsibility to teach them.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if I know my friend don't know what he's doing in a department that I am an expert in, I'm gonna put my arm around his shoulder and say, look, friend, this is how you say this. This how you do this. I'm gonna walk you in there. Since you don't know, sit back, watch me do it. I'll talk to Al. We got the resources. We got the money. And then you learn from it. And then we'll teach you how to move forward with the information.
And that makes sense. But you have to be willing to listen, and you can't be hard-headed. Remember, I also said Terrence is hard-headed. When you got good people who are telling you certain things, but you think you're strong enough, smart enough to go about doing it your damn self, Terrence messed all of that up. He did that. See, I don't make excuses where there's no excuses to be made. I believe wholeheartedly, had he had listened to even his lawyers, had he had listened to some of the business people who don't have to be in boxing, who just understand the principles, and allow them to guide him and make the necessary concessions that he needed to make, the fight might have happened. I do believe that there was a possibility that there was that investment money, because every promoter has a person or entity that they'll get money from. So I don't dismiss that, especially knowing that he has a friendship with the person who has it. But if you're not listening, if you're not letting them guide you, if you're not following so you can sit your ass down and listen, since you're claiming that you're going to be a boss, you have to learn. Bud didn't learn. And that deal with BLK Prime, really, I think, messed him up more, even though he might have got the fight. He might have got a little money, but it further made him feel like he was being a boss. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you can get something by happenstance, thinking that you smart now because you got this fight. And I think that little fight there really made things worse for him, because we're right back where he was prior to getting the BLK fight. No fight is made. The reports are saying one side is valuating themselves higher than their worth. I'm pretty certain it is, Bud. And that was happened before. That happened before.
But
So
that's what I'm. But that's where I'm getting at.
mm-hmm.
Why is he doing these mistakes over and over? If he got a guy as a Warren Buffett as his friend, or Warren Buffett has investors that are friends of his that was willing to give money up but not willing to give the game up. See, this is how business work, and I think you know this.
Right.
You're older man. I think you know this part. The person who, and this is in any relationship,
Right.
marriage, relationship, a business relationship, etc. Whoever controls the money is the boss. If a man's wife controls the money of the house, I know the man might be beating out his chest.
Right.
That woman is the boss of that house. So it's no different in business. Whoever controls the money is the boss. So if Warren Buffett was the guy, or his investors were the guys or women that was going to come together and bring up the 50 million, they're the boss. They get to dictate the terms of how the money's going to do A, B, and C, the split, the expenses being paid, the revenue that's being generated, and the profit. My point is, they're not going to hand the guy 50 million that don't know what he's doing, that's going to fumble the 50.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't do that with $50.
Right.
I would not give my sons 5,000 if I didn't know what they was going to do with it, and they're going to fumble the 5,000. Me and my sons will have a big issue.
Yeah.
So my point is, we're talking 50 million. So they're not going to hand a guy 50 million and entrust him to close out a deal with an Al Heyman, and they know that he don't know what he's doing. So that part right there, I probably can't buy that he's friends with Warren. And even if he is, I'm cool with him being a friend with Warren. I don't have no problem with that. But what I'm saying is, I'm looking at his actions, and usually when you have an investor as a friend, they teach you the business. They teach you how money works. They teach you how things work if they're truly your friend.
You got to be willing to listen and follow suit. That's one of Bud's problems. He will not listen. See, I don't think
he listened to Bob Arum, but he listened to But he listened to Bob Arum.
Him and Bob Arum had a acrimonious.
But he listened to him.
He didn't have any choice in that case.
Oh yeah, he had a choice.
Once he broke from Bob Arum, he didn't. He said he never believed that Bob Arum was trying to make the fight with Haney. He just didn't believe it.
Who didn't believe that?
Bud didn't.
What you mean by that? He didn't believe. Bud
did not believe that Bob Arum was trying to make the fight with Al Heyman. He didn't think that he had ever talked to Al Heyman. Now, Arum has stated that he tried to make the fight once with Al Heyman, and Heyman just didn't want the fight. This came out of Bob Arum's mouth. However, Terrence did not believe that Bob Arum ever talked to Al Heyman.
I got you. So okay, I got you, Greg. Here's where I'm struggling with, Greg. You said that he didn't do. I said he listened to Bob Arum. He did everything Bob told him to do. You said he did. Let me show you why he did. He fought in the welterweight division. He fought Horn. Bob Arum is the one who made all those payments to the WBO to make sure that he got that strap put on him. He listened to Bob then. He listened to Bob when he fought Amir Khan. When he fought Khan. He listened to Bob when he fought Mean Green Machine. He always listened to Bob. He listened, and guess what? He also listened to Desmond Gums over at BLK when he fought David Evanesian. So I can't take that he's not listening to certain people.
I'm going to say it again.
He's listening to people.
When you're listening correctly, you don't have an acrimonious relationship with the person who's getting you money. Like Bob was getting him whatever money Terrence made prior to BLK. He was getting that. When you're listening and you don't have a problem with the person who's getting you money, you don't have a problem. You don't. From the time, I think the last 2 years, when you publicly beefing with your promoter, who's the only person who's getting you money, because you're not. I'm not saying he's never listening. pull back on that. But when you're listening correctly, when you're following suit, you don't have this ongoing public beef with the one person who is putting money in your pocket. Now, the Jeff Horn fight and all those other fights were easy to make because Bob Arum had leverage over there. He had Bob Arum to this day has no leverage over at PBC because Al, when he launched it, signed up just about everybody.
I got you.
All the welterweight.
Right. But here's the thing, Greg. You said that he had a acrimonious, that's the word you use?
Yeah.
Acrimonious relationship with Bob. But Greg, you even know this. That didn't stop him from re-signing with Bob, did it?
Of course not, because that's the only person he was getting some money from.
Oh, no. He had a choice. Hey, Greg, hold on for a minute, because you said he didn't have a choice. He had a choice whether he would re-sign with Bob Arum or not. The same way in November 2021, when he had a choice to fight Sean Porter, and that was going to be his last fight. And he didn't re-sign with Bob then. So he re-signed with Bob before that. Huh?
The contract was on the way.
Huh?
If you got to remember, Sean Porter was a mandatory. That's the only reason.
No, before Sean Porter, he re-signed with Bob before that.
No, he re-signed with Bob because it made sense to him.
Why? But why? If you're in a relationship with a person that's so acrimonious, it don't make sense to re-sign with them.
Fighters do that all the time. Remember, I said nothing in boxing always makes sense.
No. I'm not talking about boxing now. Hold on, Greg. Let's be on the same page. I'm talking about a specific fighter. I'm not talking about the sport of boxing. If you have an acrimonious relationship with a promoter and you have a chance to break free from that promoter legally with no obligation or no breach of contract,
right?
Most fighters will definitely not re-sign with that promoter.
But some do. Sometimes you go with the devil you know.
So which one is it? Which one we going with, Greg? Which one?
Both. Come on, it's both. You know that's happened many a time with fighters and promoters. It's happened. I've seen it.
Let me tell you something. If a fighter is that hell-bent on leaving a promoter and there's no breach of contract, most of the time, they wash their hands with that promoter. They don't re-sign with them.
A lot of times that does happen. It doesn't happen all the time.
Right, but we're talking about in Bud's case.
I'm talking about Bud case. In Bud's case, at the time, there wasn't a whole bunch of people, including Heyman, who wanted Bud.
Well, that's not the point. It's all about Bud. It's all about Bud, what he want to do.
You want to leave because see, when he left Top Rank, what did he do? He tried to play his own, be his own boss, so to speak. But you got to ask yourself, why did he do that when you don't have a promoter's license, when you don't have the infrastructure, when you don't have the money at the moment, at the time? Why would he try to do that when he could have gone across the street, signed with Heyman if Heyman would take him? Or this is before he started talking to Delia Hogan. I'm talking when he first left. He tried to do his own thing because he thought he knew what he was doing. As we all know, he didn't.
Greg, you even know this, Greg. No disrespect. You even know this, Greg, that if he wasn't going to fight with Top Rank no more and he went over there to PBC, you even know, Mr. Greg, that he was going to have to go over there and fight Godzilla, just like everybody else.
Right.
And you know Bud ain't want to go fight Godzilla.
Well, who was over there?
Even know that.
Who's Godzilla in the welterweight division?
Spence.
That's where we disagree. I think Spence is the only fight for him, not Charlo. Spence is the only fight for him over at PBC.
Oh, okay.
But if he had signed with PBC, he would have had to sign more than for one fight.
Well, hold on for a minute. They sent him a term sheet.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him a contract. They sent him a revised version of the contract, and here we are. That was last year, and here we are this year, and they sent him something again 4 times, and he still ain't signed. So if he don't believe that Spence is Godzilla, he would sign it as quickly as he did them other easy fights that he had.
I absolutely don't think it has anything to do with Spence. I think it has to do with money.
it don't make no difference, because if he believes in, and you know how Bud is with
Yeah,
his actions. If Bud believes he can beat you fair and square, he signs so quickly, like
I
he
don't
did with.
believe that. I don't believe that. I
You mean
don't
to tell me
believe.
Bud thought, Mr. Greg?
Yeah, yeah.
You mean to tell me that you believe in your heart that Bud Crawford thought that David Ebenezer was a true legitimate challenge for him?
Wait a minute. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm getting a lot of feedback on
Oh,
this.
I know
Say that
you are.
again.
It's called truth, Mr.
No, no,
Greg.
no. I'm hearing a lot of different voices.
Oh, okay.
It
And
might be my computer. Now you just said I don't believe that Bud would go over to PBC because he would have to fight Godzilla. That what you basically said? Is that
right,
what you just said?
right, but then I asked you, do you believe that Bud Crawford in his heart believed himself that David Ebenezer was a legitimate challenge for him? You
No.
believe that?
David Ebenezer was an easy fight, an easy whatever amount of money he got. That was an
Right.
easy fight.
So, and that's why it was so easy. Thank you for using the word easy again. Emphasis on easy.
Yeah, that was an
That's why
easy fight.
that's why it was easy for Crawford to sign,
Yeah,
because he knew it was easy.
it was an easy fight, and he
Yeah.
didn't have to give up anything.
Yeah. You know,
So
but you
I
know,
get that.
but you know, but you know, Mr. Greg, it ain't easy for him to fight Spence. And you know he gonna have to give up a whole
That
lot
will
of
be
things, like his eyeball. He gotta get a lot, like his eyeball. He gotta give up a lot of things to fight Spence, Mr. Greg. And
that
even
would
you
be
know that.
that would be a harder fight. I get you that. That would be a harder fight. It won't be David Ebenezer for sure. But I'm telling you, Bud is more dynamic, more experienced, and can do more things in the ring than Spence. And when if the fight ever would have happened, I don't think it's going to. But if the fight ever would happen, that fight would play out the way I'm saying.
Can I
Bud
ask a
beat
question?
Spence easily.
Can I ask one question, Manager Marty?
Yes, please.
What makes you feel, believe, or even think that the Spence fight would be so easy when Terrence couldn't finish really any of his previous opponents past the 6th round?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
What makes you feel that the Earl Spence fight for Crawford is going to be so easy for Crawford?
Because I think, well, for one thing, I think Spence is damaged. Period. I think he's damaged.
Man, hold on, man.
I think his bad habits will show up more so in a fight with Bud. Spence is not a gym rat, and Spence has been drinking a lot. He stopped some, but
Okay.
all of those flaws will show up in the fight with Bud.
Okay. So
That's the biggest reason. And then I think Spence is not as dynamic, and he can't do as many things as Bud does in the ring.
So
okay.
it should be.
Put together
on.
all of those things.
Okay.
Hold on.
For an easy
Okay.
fight.
Hold on.
You know what though? As far as that's concerned,
Who am I talking to now?
that Terrence can do more than him, and then Terrence can do more than Earl. Let's not forget, even though the weight drain may have played a factor, Roy Jones could do more against than Antonio Tarver could. But that doesn't mean that. But see, Tarver had the basic fundamental 1, 2, 3 ABCs: natural weight, good chin. But all that chicken wing fighting, and all the other hands behind the back, and black and Superman in the ring with Roy Jones, and Roy Jones was way more dynamic than Terrence Crawford was. But none of that mattered when he made his match of a fighter in their prime at the natural weight, who may have had a later start. Roy had more experience, but looking at Crawford also, you have to look at it this way as well. He has all that. He has the Superman power, fine. But every time he fought one of Earl's opponents, Earl had already softened them up, beaten them down, and they were never the same after they fought Earl. And even the guys he beat, like Gamboa and Khan, they had no chin. So it's like all that. And even though Earl may have gotten careless and thought he lost his teeth or his mouthpiece that one fight with Ugas, he got knocked against the ropes. But look at what Mean Machine did to Earl, and Mean Machine is not even a true champion.
But you forget, Crawford came from 135 to 140 to 147.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming all the way up, bringing his same skill sets and ability to fight at welterweight.
Yeah.
Whoever was in the welterweight division at that time is who he had to fight.
Right, but all the guys that he fought, Greg, and I'm gonna say this, and I want to get to the super chats real quick before I
Right,
let
right.
Boss Hall get in. All the guys that Bud fought, naturally he was bigger than them in the welterweight division. All those guys that he fought,
But he
even
still
Khan,
had to
he
come
was
up.
naturally bigger than them, huh?
But he still had to come up from 135 to 140 to 147.
He
Still had to
did.
come up.
He did, and that's why I'm saying to you that Bob Arum and the matchmaker Brad Goodman did a wonderful job with Terrence Crawford and how they marketed and built him up. They have built Terrence Bud Crawford up. Look at his resume as if he was a prospect.
Yes.
Because the way that he had his resume lined up, they basically put him in there with people they knew that he can beat, and they were doing that his whole career. His whole career has been based on him basically being match made, like a prospect. I mean, that's just being honest with his resume. So
I won't
now, when
argue that. I won't argue
right,
that. I
right,
won't argue that. But I hope we get the chance to talk if they fight. That's what I'm looking for.
of course, we want you to come back.
We got to talk. But
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this because I'm talking to guys who talking about the fight because they love the sport of boxing. I'm loving
absolutely.
it. We might
Absolutely.
not agree, but I want to say to all the gentlemen who are there, I love that you young guys got some things to say and you know what you're talking about. You got your opinion, I got mine, and I hope I get a chance to get in and chop it up with y'all in the future as well as if the fight ever happens.
Absolutely. Let me get these super chats.
Sure,
Ari Ryder, thank you for your contribution again. Ari says, time to fight Arrow now. He got trust issues. LOL. Brock Howard, thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel. Brock Howard says Bud tried to circumvent Al and run game on Arrow. And Mr. Greg is laughing because he know that is absolutely true, Brock. Thank you for your contribution as well. Ari Ryder, thank you for your contribution all over again and your support, my brother. He says Greg got more confidence than Bud. LMAO. Oh, man. Great super chats. Boss Hog, I know you've been trying to slide on in, Boss Hog. You've heard what I was asking Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg had some rebuttals. What's your take on it real quick, Boss Hog?
Well, I just want to talk about when he brought up Terrence Crawford does some special things in the ring, right? And he's basically saying that, and I respect his viewpoint, and he's saying that Terrence Crawford is going to beat Errol Spence. But Terrence Crawford, truthfully, we don't know what he is when he get in there with an elite fighter. We don't know because he's always fought fights, like Manjamati pointed out, and others have pointed out. He's always fought fights where he was the favorite. Errol Spence fought Kell Brook, who was a number one welterweight at that time. Okay, which was a tough fight, but Errol Spence was able to rise and overcome and stop him eventually. Errol Spence has been in fights that are 50-50 fights. And each time he has rose to the occasion. Okay, you talking about Bud Crawford, Bud has been in there with, some killers at 147 pounds. And I understand that we all look at the special things that Bud Crawford does, but styles make fights. You're talking about Errol Spence, who throws a lot of punches every round. You're talking about Errol Spence, who is very technical. You're talking about Errol Spence that goes to the body like no other fighter in boxing. Terrence Crawford has not seen a fighter like that. He has not fought a fighter like that, who's able to maintain the whole fight, right? So Terrence Crawford naturally takes a couple of rounds to collect data, right? He starts slow. Errol Spence is on you from round one to wherever. So all I'm saying is at the end of the day, I see this fight. Errol Spence will break Terrence Crawford down. And the only reason why that's going to happen is because Terrence Crawford going to get hit with something hard and he going to want to fight. And he going to abandon that game plan. We all see Terrence Crawford when he's in that ring and he go to that corner. Who's coaching him? Nobody. They're asking him, hey, what you see? Whereas Errol Spence has that master teacher in his corner, Derek James, who could correct some things that Errol may be doing. wrong in that fight. So what I'm saying is that a lot of y'all talk about Errol like, oh, he's not special. He don't have to be special. Styles make fights. I feel like Errol Spence's style would be a problem for Terence Crawford. And D-Town Boxer said this in one of his videos. Don't be shocked if it's one-sided. And Errol just rolled through him. Now, I respect the fight. I respect Terence Crawford. I think it's going to be close until a certain point, and then Errol just going to pull away. But don't be shocked if it's one-sided. So that's my take on it.
And we also seen too in the Kell Brook fight with Terence Crawford, just 2 rounds, Terence Crawford's eyes were starting to swell up. And we know that Errol Spence has one of the best jabs in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? He can fight on the inside. You know, Terence Crawford has problems fighting on the inside. You know, I'm not taking nothing from Terence Crawford. I think he's a great fighter. But the problem is he's not going to beat Errol Spence on points. I mean, I didn't see Errol Spence throw over 1,000 punches in a fight. Terence Crawford high is maybe 400 or something. So that just alone, if Terence Crawford is not ready to withstand that many punches, that would tire you out just alone. You know, Terence Crawford have to be ready to go 12 rounds, not 6 or 7. And we talking about with a guy who got a locomotive. You know what I'm saying? And we know that Terence Crawford was knocked down by Mean Machine. Some people say he wasn't. He was knocked down by Mean Machine. And Errol Spence was hit flush with 2 shots, knowing that the ref said stop. Errol Spence went up against the ropes, came back and put a beat down on him. Not taking enough from Terence Crawford. He came back and put a beat down on him. You know what I'm saying? On Mean Machine. But what I'm saying is Terence Crawford have to be ready for that pressure. See, Terence Crawford don't fight. He have not fought nobody that could bring pressure. You talking about running from somebody, moving constantly, trying to avoid punches. Just that all along will wear you down. You know what I'm saying?
All of those things would make a great fight.
Yeah, and
that's why we want to see it.
And I'm not saying that Terence Crawford can't weather the storm. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Errol Spence, you know, just because Terence Crawford can switch or whatever, I'm sure Errol Spence didn't fought many people, probably, you know, switch or fight lefty or righty or southpaw or whatever it might be. He fought these guys. You know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford fights majority of his fights in southpaw. And we know Errol Spence is the better southpaw than Terence Crawford. So what I'm saying is I can't wait to see this fight. I really don't see. I give Terence Crawford maybe 40% chance of beating Errol Spence, and I give Errol Spence 60% chance of beating Terence Crawford. Not saying he can't go the other way around, but if I had somebody put a gun in my head, that's the way I'm going.
Manager Marty, can I ask you a question? It's a technical one. How do I stop where I only can hear one voice? See, I'm hearing stuff that's already been playing. That's already been said. I'm hearing it again.
Mute your
His window's open in the back.
Say it again, Miss Rachel.
Your YouTube is probably still playing in the back, like you have an open tab. When you click the link, it doesn't close the previous tab.
Okay.
So
okay.
There should be a tab open. Just click the X, so then you only hear us on StreamYard.
Okay, that's what's going on. That's why I couldn't hear you when we were talking. I was hearing other voices.
Oh, okay, got you. Did you fix it now?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, good. Well, since we have Rachel here, salute to you, Rachel. Thanks for joining the panel. It's morning over there in the Philippines, and it's night over here. So good morning to you.
Good evening to you.
You've heard Mr. Greg. You've heard the questions that I've asked Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg is probably, from what I can see, especially on this channel, one of the most honest Bud fans I've ever talked to in my life. He has actually admitted indirectly and directly that all of this is Bud Crawford's fault. And what's your take on everything Mr. Greg said?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to offer some clarity. Like, I think, like you said, this is actually one of the most calm, like, situations I've been in when it comes to talking to a Bud fan, just looking at, the facts, also looking at what is feasible and what's reasonable as far as this coming out. Of course, as you know, Nonito and I have always been in Bud's corner when it comes into the ring. But when it comes outside of the ring, I have, the ability to compartmentalize what he is and what he's not doing right. And the only thing that I wanted to talk about was when we were talking about Warren Buffett. Now, while that's all and good that Warren does have, the funds, the fun part of assuming that is that if it wasn't Warren himself, right? And I would assume also it's not Warren himself due to the fact that all his money is in stocks. All of his money is in money market. All of his money are in investments. He's not like walking around with 150 million liquid in his bank account, because that's not how he's gotten rich, right? So if he were to tell or advise Terrence to go listen, here's a pool of investors, go talk to them. As a friend, if Warren was a friend to Bud, I think that he would have not done that. He would have actually gotten in touch with someone who would know what they're doing. Because first of all, the investors are not going to want to go talk to even Errol Spence. They're not going to want a meeting with Errol Spence. Listen, these two guys do not own anything. An investor is different from a lender. And a lender wants their money back based on a percentage and over a period of time, where an investor wants ownership. So we have to ask, what do they own that they're going to actually have a portion of the proceeds and a return over their investment over time? And we all know that in addition to that, a meeting with Bud Crawford could not give the amount of financial information that would be needed to make a financial decision to put that kind of type of money down based on, oh, well, I don't know how much the venue costs. I don't know how much the gate is. I don't know how much the TV's selling for. All these I don't knows are going to have a investor look at you and say, okay, well, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing with my money. And you want me to just give you a Christmas gift of $50 million so you guys can go play boxing? And I'm using air quotes, play boxing, because investors look at money. They don't invest based on, oh, I like watching this sport. That's all.
Yeah, that's the point that I was making as well, Rach. I don't know if you heard that part when I was talking to Mr. Greg, and I said that I have two sons, and there's certain things I'm still teaching them about about business in general, and I still am not comfortable right now to give them even $5,000. I mean, to tell them, hey, I know you don't know what you're doing, but here's 5,000. Bring me 10,000 back. To me, that doesn't make any good business sense to any person that's willing to invest even $500, let alone $50 million with Warren Buffett or anyone else that's going to give Bud Crawford access to that type of resource. And Mr. Greg admitted himself that Bud doesn't know what he's doing. There's no investors would do. That's unrealistic, basically, for that to happen.
Well, for example, right now I'm in a couple of these investor rounds, right? For a couple of the contracts that I have on the table. And all these investors have a high level of understanding the business and their ROI. And they do have a team of financial advisors that look over the decks. So that being said, the money that we're looking at, one project 65 million, the other one is 120 million. And it's not easy to just say, hey, I have this amazing idea without any financial backing, without market numbers, and what's been proven, what you've proven, and what your team behind you is, how they can also move. And these investors are sharks, man. Like there's one of them that we're in, and we're going to use that guy for one of the projects because the project's so big. But he flat out said, I want 50%. 50% of everything that comes in, and you have to get, and when it comes to him actually giving the money for this project, it comes in trenches. We have to prove ourselves that we're still a good partner for him to continuously invest. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say the project was $200 million. And I say, okay, well, the manufacturer needs 50% down. He goes, okay, I'll give you 100 million, but that goes straight to the manufacturer. He'll wire straight to the manufacturer. I won't even touch it. And then when it comes to breaking, like, okay, well, the manufacturer is done with the product, needs to ship. Okay, I'll give you another 10 million. It's in trenches. They don't give you the
Right.
whole thing
Yeah, of
because
course.
whatever you're not using, they could be still getting their interest in their on their money in the bank.
Right. And the bottom line is, because boxing is so risky, we don't typically see a lot of outside investors putting that type of pumping. Let me use the word pumping, since it's in trenches, pumping that kind of fiduciary into one boxing promotion. That typically does not happen. So I was being more realistic, and I appreciate you sharing that, Rach, because that's the point that I was trying to drive home. That, the bottom line is, when we talk about investment, we talk about projections. And Greg, you had mentioned that Al Heyman never wanted this fight between Spence and Bud, and we know that's not true, because remember, Al Heyman is the one who initiated the process. Let's be clear. We know that Bud is the B side. So Al Heyman, they initiated the process. This is not hearsay. This is what Bud Crawford said on IG Live. He said he received a term sheet. He received a proposal in May of 2022. And this was literally 30 days after Spence fought Ugas. They have been initiating this process for Bud to fight Spence this entire time. So I can't agree with you that Al Heyman never wanted this fight. I cannot also agree with you that it was all of Bob Arum's fault, when you probably wasn't here earlier, Greg, when me, D-Town, and YSM Sports Media was here, and we talked about the history of Top Rank as a promotional company, back from the Sugar Ray Leonard days all the way up to now. They build their fighters up from the ground up. And most of their fighters, let's say Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Oscar De La Hoya, Mikey Garcia, they promoted them and brought them up from the ground up until they were able to reach a certain plateau. And when those big fights did not happen, those guys moved on. They didn't resign, like you said Bud did. They didn't resign, just like when Bob Arum had an acrimonious relationship with Floyd Mayweather, he didn't resign. Thanks to the help with Jay Prince, he didn't resign. He bought himself out of his own contract and he moved on. We've seen Bud not do that. Even though you said that Bud had an acrimonious relationship with Bob, he re-signed with him. My point is that those guys were built up from the ground up, from Top Rank. They reached a certain plateau and they got the big fights after they left Bob Arum and Top Rank. So what's the issue with Bud? They took him from the ground up, promoted him to the best of their ability, or we wouldn't be talking about Bud right now. And he wouldn't be a multiple weight division champion. They built him up from the ground up. He reached that certain plateau. And guess what? He's at the place where he's ready for those big fights. And the only big fight that we want him to fight is the one that Spence wants more than every fan that's on this YouTube community. And that is, I want to fight Crawford. And everybody
Why do you think
knows
it's not happening?
Huh?
Why do you think it's not happening?
Why? Say it again.
Why do you think the fight still hasn't been signed in?
Because Bud Crawford knows that if he gets in the ring with Errol Spence, he will not be the bigger fighter. He will not be the more talented fighter. That he will not be the dominating force that he has been. And I'm going to tell you why I know that. It's not about being scared. Listen to what I'm telling you. He has not had the experience of getting in a ring with a fighter of Errol Spence's caliber. Look what I just told you about his resume.
I heard what you said.
Bob Arum and Brad Goodman, the matchmaker, Hall of Fame matchmaker, good matchmaker too, over there at Top Rank. They have built this fighter up to as if he was a prospect. So when he gets in there with someone else that has more skill set than him, his confidence level is not there. And that's why
So you think he's afraid? So it's not money. It's not money. You think he's afraid?
No, it's not. It's not money. They offer him the most money he'll ever make in his whole life, ever in life. So it's not money. It's not. When I say afraid, I never use the words. That's your terms. What I'm saying is he lacks confidence in winning that fight with Spence. Think about this.
That's where we're in a disagreement at.
Yeah, he lacks the listen. If Crawford, looking at his actions, if Crawford really believed as much as you believe that he can be Spence, he would have signed that contract a long time ago. How do
I
we
think
know that?
I
How do
think
we know?
he's supremely confident that he would beat Spence. I
Let
wholeheartedly, I'm gonna let you finish, but I wholeheartedly think it's only about money.
No, I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay, I'm
I've
listening.
I've I've learned how to do something, Mr. Greg. Let me tell you a skill set that I've had. I've learned how to hear the words that people say, and I've learned how to hear the words that people do not say. And the words that people do not say, they show them in their actions. And I have literally, just like some of the people on the panel and the viewers at home watching, I have literally watched behavior pattern after behavior pattern. I've learned how to, and I said this on Tuesday night, by the way, on the previous broadcast. I've
Yep.
learned how to study behavior patterns of people. And personally speaking, it's because I've overcome certain traumas in my life. The bottom line is that Terrence Bud Crawford's behavior pattern. See, you learn about this is how you get to know a person using your eyes and your ears. So I hear what Crawford has said with his words, and I've seen what he's done over a long period of time with his actions, and it's called discernment. And all of us on this panel, and even the viewers watching at home, you heard me say this before, but I'm gonna say it again. When it comes to truth, it's a mechanism built in us as humans that when we hear truth, we may not agree with it, we may not accept it, but when we hear it, we know it's truth. And what I'm saying is to say this, that Terrence Bud Crawford knows that if he goes in there and he fights Errol Spence, he do not believe 100% that he can beat him. Because look at his behavior patterns, Mr. Greg. Let me show you. Mr. Greg. He
I hear
said,
you.
look. Mr.
I hear
Greg, you agree with me, Mr. Greg? Terrence Crawford has said on at least one occasion that he want to fight Spence. Yes or no?
Say it again now.
Let me say it again. On at least one occasion, you have heard Crawford say he wanted to fight Spence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
On another occasion, at least one occasion, you've heard Terrence Crawford say he don't want to fight Spence, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did he fight Spence?
Did he?
Did
No,
Crawford?
he hasn't fought him.
Huh?
No, he has not fought Spence.
Okay, so let's use those three facts that I just pointed out to you. You agree with me that you've heard him say on at least one occasion he want to fight Spence, right? You also agree with me on another occasion you've heard him say the opposite, that he don't want to fight Spence, right?
Yeah.
But the third thing is you just said in agreement that he did not fight Spence.
He has
So
not fought Spence.
so if you
He
didn't
has not fought Spence, not did not.
no,
Big
okay,
difference.
he
Has
has
not.
not, no problem. He has not fought Spence. So if you did not know Spence and if you did not know Crawford and you were just looking at this from a humanistic standpoint, which would you believe in that fighter? Would you believe that he wanted to fight him or that he didn't want to fight him?
If I didn't know what I know, I would agree with you
That what?
that he didn't want to fight. But I know
Why?
better.
Why though? But tell me
But I
why
know
would you?
better. I said if I didn't know what I know, if I didn't know anything and I just heard him say he didn't want to fight Spence and he didn't do it, that's what I would believe. But I
Why
know
though?
better.
Tell
What
me
I'm
why.
saying.
No, but tell me why, Mr. Greg. Why would you believe that?
Why would I believe he doesn't want to fight him? Just because he said it.
No, but he also said he did though.
No. I'm going by where we are now. If I just heard him say he did want to fight Spence, and then later on says he didn't want to fight Spence, I would agree with you then that he doesn't want to. But I would have to know none of what I know to believe that.
No.
I believe wholeheartedly because I know who the fighters are. I know the mentality that this fight, to me, in my opinion, is not being made now. I only care about what happened before. I think the bottom line has still dollars and cents, and they're not getting there because he's overpriced himself. And if he's not going to get what he wants, we're going to be right where we are right now, going back and forth with different conjectures, different opinions. We're not going to get the fight. And probably a few months from now, we're gonna be talking about the fights that actually
Can I ask
get
a
made.
question?
But I don't think that fight's gonna happen.
Hold on, Black. Hold on, Black Skin Bruce. Got you. I just want to make sure that we on the same page here. Because remember, I just said I listen to the words people don't say. The words that you did not say, Mr. Greg, were the reason why you would believe that he didn't want to fight is not just because he said he did not want to fight. It's because his actions have also shown you that he didn't fight Spence. What I'm basically saying is that this is how we get to know a person as humans. We hear what they say and we see what they do. And the moment that their words do not match their actions, you must believe a person's actions before you believe their words. That's just a humanistic trait. All of us know that. In other words, is if someone tells you that they love you with their words, but they have shown you time and time and time again through a pattern of behavior that they don't like you, that they disrespect you, that they walk all over you, that they manipulate you, that they gaslight you, and all the other personality disorder traits that people do against other people. They told you that they love you with their words, but their actions have never produced that. You would believe as a human. I know I heard them say that, but their actions is proven to me otherwise, and I'm more inclined to believe a person's actions than I am their words. In other words, is if somebody
I can go with your philosophy. I can go with your philosophy.
Right. So
but I'm still saying that doesn't apply
that's okay.
to this situation. That's all. I can go with your philosophy.
That's
we're not in a disagreement there.
That's fine. That's fine. But we know as humans, if I bump you and turn around and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Greg, and you say, no problem. And the next day I see you again, I bump you again. I'm sorry again, Mr. Greg. And you say, man, you bumped me yesterday. Okay, cool, let me let it go. If I bump you that third time, look at you and say, with my words, I'm sorry, Mr. Greg, I'm almost certain that you're going to say, there's no possible way that you can be sorry because you keep doing it over and over and over again, and you're double-minded. And we know that a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. And we know
said before, we're not in disagreement with the philosophy. But the fight ain't happening because of the money. That's all it is. That's all I can continue to say.
But you heard him say
I'm wrong.
But you heard him
I'm wrong.
Cool. But you heard him say you heard that man say he don't want to fight Spence. You heard him say it.
I like I said, I heard it.
Cool. Now
hopefully,
let me ask you.
We'll get to see this fight.
No problem.
Hopefully,
I hope so.
See this fight. Listen.
I hope so
I have
too.
to go. I would love to continue.
Good.
I have to go. But gentlemen, thank you for letting me come in and kick it with you all. I hope to be able to do this again with you.
Good job, Mr. Greg. One more question before you leave. Yeah. One more. I promise you, this is the last one. Because you said you've been around boxing a long time.
Right.
So you're qualified to answer this real quick. Can you give me one fight that happened where one fighter said they don't want to fight the other fighter and it actually happened? Can you give me one?
No.
I rest my case. Thank you, Mr. Greg. Appreciate you, bro.
We'll see you soon.
You got it, champ. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
I like him.
Huh?
I like him.
Yeah, I like him too because he was the most thorough Terrence Bud Crawford fan that I've met. He was more honest, and I gave him some air frying and some teaching. I know he wanted to run off. Come on, I want him back on here now.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't like he didn't take it personal though. He he listened. It wasn't like a personal attack on him. It was that was actually refreshing.
Oh yes.
But when you were talking, I was literally thinking at the exact same time. I'm like, "Yep, an abusive relationship." And then you said that whole thing. I was like, "Oh, we're on the same page."
Been there and done that and overcame it. D-Town, what's your take on everything Greg said and what I was saying, bro?
I mean, I understand where he's coming from. I understand that this is what he feels. So I mean, we have to respect how he feels. No problem. I mean, what it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we understand what's going on. We're not trying to sugarcoat nothing. We're not trying to put something on Terrence Crawford back that's not on his back. We're not taking nothing off of him. We give him all his credit, but we're not going to give him credit for something he didn't do. And me personally, I have never seen Terrence Crawford take this long to make a fight. All the fights that he had, he made them with ease, no problem. But since it came down to Earl Spence having those belts, now he don't want them. Now he thinking about Hall of Fame. Now I don't care about 50%. I don't care about 40%. Now the fight is behind me. Now I'm not going to fight him at 147 or 154. I have never seen Terrence Crawford act this way. I mean, it's almost the same way as Anthony Joshua, with Deontay Wilder. It don't make no sense. Terrence Crawford said that he's the boogeyman. Where is that? All I see from Terrence Crawford is that he know that when he get in the ring with Earl Spence, it's not gonna be no games. And I believe, just like Terrence Crawford, I do believe him. He said that it's better to fight. He said it's better to be undefeated than to fight great fights. Then he also said that he don't want to lose in front of his family. So those things I have never heard from Terrence Crawford. When I'm saying that he's sounding like that he's unsure of himself. He believes that it's a great possibility that he might lose. And I have never seen that side of Terrence Crawford until it came to Earl Spence. And I believe that he thought that if he stayed over there with Top Rank, he was going to allow these Godzillas to fight one another and let them beat each other up, hoping that they had loss on their records and things like that. So when he came to the negotiations, after these guys had beat each other up and gained losses on their record, that he was going to be the A side. But that didn't happen with Earl Spence. He came out on top, and now Terrence Crawford need to go see Earl Spence, and now he don't want to see him. This is my opinion. That he might be in negotiations. The fight might happen. I don't know. But far as what I've seen so far, he's making a lot of excuses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, y'all couldn't hear me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good point, D-Town. I was going to say, let me get this super chat here, and then I'll get everybody's last words. I know we're embarking in on 3 hours and a half. So I salute everybody that stayed with us, the viewership. Thank you to everybody that's still watching and the replay of this live. Every writer, thank you for your support and contribution again. He said, yeah, Greg, he's scared. Your mind is blown, huh? LOL. That was the message for Greg, our panelist here that just left off the panel. And then we have our member, Diana. Salute, Diana. Thank you for your contribution and your support as well. And your encouragement too, Diana. I saw some of the words you said in the chat. Appreciate that so much. Blackskin Bruce, thank you for joining us. You made some great points. Very factual. Give us 30 seconds. Give us your last words, man. What you got for us?
Be honest with you, I just wish the WBO would strip him, and I wish the whatever Boxing Hall of Fame they put him on, I wish they would take his butt off and just give the belt to somebody else like Ugas, or not Ugas, but just give it to the other cat on the rise. I forgot his name, but do something with the belt, and I mean, just give him the brush off for now, because he said several times, he wants to be. He told Andre Ward he wants to be undisputed, and he wants the top. He wants the belts, and then he says he doesn't want to fight Spence, and Spence has all the belts to become undisputed. So it's I just say that the whole boxing community should stop buying his fights, should go ahead and put him on layaway, and then kind of like put him on suspension, man, until it's like a baby. Until you take something away from a child, they're never gonna stop holding on to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what he's doing with that belt. I just I do hope they fight, because one thing I wanted to ask Craig was, he said it was about the money, and my question is, how much money is he asking for now? Because I haven't heard or read that anywhere in particular of how much money Duck Cow is asking for now. But in closing, I mean, definitely keep doing what you do, man, Jamarty, man. Keep the sport alive, because you've been giving us better YouTube channels, man. And Terrence has been giving us fights this past since you've been on. Dadgummit. Keep it up, bro. Keep it up. And yeah, that's all I got for now.
I appreciate that, Bruce. We'll be back here live and live in color on Tuesday evening, and I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you again, my brother.
Absolutely. Peace.
You got it. Mr. Boss Hog, I know you probably, I really wish you would have been able to get more airtime, man, because I love your perspective, man, and you keep it real, and you a straight shooter, man. So always much respect to you, boss. 30 seconds. Give us your last words, Boss Hog. You got it. Floor is yours, brother.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody. You manager Marty, man, just give me the opportunity to come on your platform. You know, a little channel like mine coming on this platform is it's cool to talk boxing with everybody. So I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Um, we all know actions speak louder than words. Terrence Crawford, it appears to me that he don't want this fight. D-Town Boxing pointed this out. You know, all his other fights, it was easy to be made. And this fight, he's worrying about money. You know, when you want to be great, if you feel like you better than Errol Spence, and then just take the fight. Floyd Mayweather did it with De La Hoya, you know, Arturo Gotti, things of those nature. Just take the fight and prove to the world that you're better than him. Show us. I mean, you got your fans, your diehard, delusional bud buddies. Man, just show us. That's all we want. Make this fight happen. So I appreciate y'all for real. I pray for everybody. And thank you again, Marty, for letting me come on the platform.
Anytime, boss. Anytime I'm on, floor is always going to be yours, bro. You can stop past anytime you want, bro.
I appreciate that. D-Town, H-Town, that's all love, man.
You got it. And make sure y'all subscribe to Boss Hawk Boxing's channel. Good content, man. Please make sure y'all support this brother. Rachel, I know you came on here a little bit towards the end, but you know your presence is always welcomed here. The viewers, they really respect your intuitive and your skill set and experience. You know, we respect you here. We thank you for joining us and giving that analogy that you gave, which made a whole lot of sense. What's your take on it? Give us your last words, Rach.
Well, I always apologize because of the fact that I'm here in the Philippines. So I'm catching the last end. I swear to God, next week I will try harder to wake up on a Saturday. But I love coming on your panel. I love meeting new panelists, new YouTubers that can actually hold a conversation without getting very emotional or personal. So, I want to thank you for holding this space. I always love talking boxing with you guys, and even outside of boxing when it comes to the business of boxing. I think we're all just really passionate and we're all trying to get to the bottom of it. But when we put our emotions aside and really talk like human beings, I enjoy it. I think it's great human growth. And I think every day we learn from each other. So thank you, Manager Marty. D-Town, I love you. Haven't seen you for a bit. And everyone in the chats, make sure on your way out, if you haven't, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys later. Till next time. Bye.
All right, you got it, Rach. Tell Nonito we said hey.
Will do.
All right, thanks for joining us. And you all salute Rachel. Please subscribe to her channel, Beyond the Ring with Rachel and Nonito Donaire. They have their own platform as well. They do a lot of good stuff. I love their little money dance that they do. So y'all go ahead and support their channel as well. Detail, I was trying to be relaxed tonight. I know that Mr. Greg is probably the most honest Bud fan that I've encountered myself. He was calm. He told the truth. He was honest about what was really going on, even though he's an avid Bud fan. And I asked him certain questions. I had more deeper questions to ask him. I didn't want to overdo it because it's first time on here, and I know the viewers just was still lingering on as time was progressing, 3 hours and some change. But we did it again, brother. I appreciate you coming on. You all please salute and subscribe and like the content of Detailed Boxing. He's family here. Go subscribe to his channel. I mean, he's a straight shooter as well. He called it like it is. He's not wearing the shirt today, but I'm going to leave y'all with his saying. Oh, he is wearing it. It's nothing there. That's what that is. That's what that is. One of my favorite slogans that he says. D-Town, I always leave it to you when you're on my platform, brother, so you can give us what I like to call the benediction. I'll let you close it in. I'm Manager Marty. Tune in live and live in color right here on Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty on Tuesday night. Thank you for everybody that contributed and supported the channel. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you for everyone engaging in the chat. I love my boxing family in the chat. I love just talking boxing and all the viewers at home. Thank y'all for your support and viewership. I'm out of here. Last words is on my guy, D-Town Boxing. See you all Tuesday evening, God willing.
Salute to all the family members that's here. Love every last one of y'all, no matter if we agree or disagree. Salute to every last one of y'all. Remember, the challenge that we have is for y'all. It's for all of us to be able to talk and commune together, for us to earn, sharpen, earn. I love seeing every last one of y'all in there, no matter, if you're a fan of Crawford or Earl Spence or Deontay Wilder or Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia, no matter who, we all family. At the end of the day, remember, um, we gonna keep it real no matter what. And I ask y'all to pray for me and my family. And I'm gonna pray for y'all and y'all family. Hope to see y'all on Tuesday, or if I decide to go live, or even on the videos that we have. So let's enjoy this great fight this weekend between Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Salute to y'all family. It's D-Town Boxing signing out.